Hello, everybody, and welcome to practice day out here at the JConcepts INS Finals 2023 out here at Hobby Action RC Raceway. You can see that viral photo right there with Nelson. If I slide over there, kind of the perfect shot that our photographer Jason Bollinger grabbed during the Worlds event out here at Hobby Action. So it's pretty sweet. Hopefully you guys are doing well out there. We got our green screen going in the back here, so something new that we're trying out. We're not saying it's going to be perfect, but trying something new and seeing how you guys are going to like it. So it's pretty sweet. I'm new to everything. You don't know until you know, so hopefully you guys are liking that. We got a couple different little media selections here that we're able to change to during this. Let me see if I can switch it over. Look at this looks. We got our team right there. Look at myself. Got Zach, Wayne, and Rob. You know, they're in the back, the Mod Live Media guys. Hopefully you guys are doing well. What's going on, Jose Valenzuela? What's happening, man? What's going on, the Smoking Rat? We got a very cool layout this weekend for the JConcepts event. Let me see if I can click on over to... Let's see, it should be our secondary cam there, so you can see the racetrack there, guys. So, track is pretty sweet. That's them running out there live right now. Sorry that I'm moving around so much, just trying to see you guys. So that is the track live. We're out here at Hobby Action in Chandler, Arizona. Larry Tom's place out here. Amazing facility. They have weekly club racing and large events. This is where your 2023 World Championships were held, where we crowned 2 world champions. Both Davide Ongaro in 4-wheel drive, and in 2-wheel drive was Tater. So Tater Santung, sorry for butchering that name. I call him Tater Tots. That's usually what he goes by. But yeah, so it is practice today out here at the event, and we're going to have some cool things. Let's show you guys some of the media that we're going to have going for you. Let's see here if I can switch this over. So we will have the live race lineup right there that you can see over on my... I need to get used to this. Over on my one side. And then we will have... You see as I'm switching stuff over. We're also going to have everybody up on there pulling up their faces and everything on that side. Look at that. Perfect. So it should be a lot of fun. Thank you to RCGT and RC Garage for all of their support with all their overlay support. We will have them live all weekend. I got to upload everybody for everything. So, the track. Oh yeah, look at that. That's pretty sweet. I think it is green actually underneath the cap. It's actually pretty funny. I did not even know that. So we're going to. That's pretty funny. Look at that. It's like in Inception. Keep the brim low there. I guess that's a design flaw. I'm gonna have to get that certain ones made, or only black caps. There we go. So, like I said, this is new for us, guys. It's a new feature that we just got, and yeah, so it should be a lot of fun trying it out and see how it goes. So I'll turn it on over to camera number 2 there. You can see the live racetrack. We're going to be dialing in the sound as well, so seeing how that's going and get that perfect for you guys for the announcer audio. And then David Orner is going to be in here tomorrow, or tonight actually, and he'll be helping me announce, and we're going to be following along with the racing action. We got Tim Lime over there saying he loves it. We will be at Adobe for the U.S. Open next week. So this is what it'll see. You guys will probably see the green screen behind me. See? Boom. So green screen right back there. And we are just playing around with it, guys. Look at that. Sweet. I got my, this is a pretty cool shot right here. That's from our awesome photographer, Jason Bollinger, shooting some JConcepts products on that awesome B6.4 there. Make sure you guys support JConcepts.net. They've been bringing us out to all of their events, and it's always a pleasure to be out here. Kyle Swanson, seating tonight. No, there is no seating tonight, Kyle. It is all practice until 7 o'clock tonight. Robert Mazzella, pretty cool, Matt. Thank you, sir. Anthony, when will you have replacements for the 24 and 17 millimeter hex for the new tires? I think that's a JConcepts question, Anthony. I do not know the answer to that. Tim Lime, love it. Yeah, it's one of those things that when it comes to green screens, let me see if I can see my reflection again. Ah, look at that. It's pretty funny, actually. I'll put black tape underneath my bill of my hat or something like that. I've never had an issue before, but we got one now. It's all good. Team Camel, yes, there will be a waffle for this one, Team Camel. We'll be getting that going here most likely tonight. I'm going to get it all set up and be selling tickets for you guys coming into tomorrow. So should be good. Let me see if I can answer some more questions. Hear your audio great. Hear the RCs in the background too. I think it sounds good overall. Yeah, the audio through this headset should be amazing. It's hooked up to our main system here. It's getting the house audio for a lot of their information that's going to cause us some issues if it does. So it should be good. Kyle Swanson, you running stadium truck? Yes, I am, Kyle. Sammy's been working on it for me. I have not even been on the track yet. So I might be able to do some practice a little bit later on today, but nothing as of right now that I've even been on this track. So I'm battling out for the series win, but work comes first, play later. So should be fun. A lot of fast guys here. So if I make the main and I'm battling for it, I'm going to be very happy. But is what it is. So proof's in the pudding. A lot of these guys putting in a lot of time and effort, so I'm going to need to do the same. Probably put in several packs tonight, but trying to get everything dialed as far as all back here. We got a couple different camera angles right now. I'll switch it on over. We've got our camera number 1, which is our main cam that's going to be going around the track. Then we will have our camera number 2, which will be, obviously, this is kind of like, usually a fisheye, but this is actually a wide-angle lens. We're just able to get it on the side of the track, so it's actually kind of a cool shot. So we're going to have that. We got camera 3, which is actually our green screen camera. So it's all green screened up here right now. Camera 4, what is camera 4? Oh, actually, you can kind of see it, but my voice will be off because that is our, boom. That is our replay camera. So I'll get that up. So that's replay cam right there. And we don't have a cam 5 up yet. We do not have a camera 5 up yet. Man, I'm still getting used to this. There we go. So we don't have a cam 5, but I will most likely be setting up the PTZ tonight. So that will be an addition that we'll be doing a little bit later on to get everything ready. Usually we have seating on, well, when today's Friday. All the days get mixed up. We usually have seating on Friday at around 4, but they're not opting for that today. All the qualifying is going to be done tomorrow. I'm sure they're seating it off of how you're doing in the series, which has been something I've seen before. So we'll see what ends up happening as far as that goes, or they'll reshuffle them afterwards. So yeah, so hopefully you guys really enjoying the racing. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. You'll probably see me messing around with some stuff possibly throughout this, but there's no like crazy coverage today. It's just really set up and kind of working out any sort of kinks that there are. Hopefully you guys, this audio is coming in good. I'm going to check a couple different audio feeds. Like we have our microphone here. So we're going to, for our interview cam. And then we'll also have for our secondary announcer that we're going to bring in and see how that goes. So it should be cool. So if you guys have any questions, post up for me right now. I can answer them live for you. And yeah, like I said, not a lot today. We'll click it on over to camera number 2 right there. That is the track there in the background. They are running live. Pretty sweet. Shout out to Coca-Cola products. Big sponsor of Hobby Action out here. Jason Bollinger over here looking at me like, it's a good Coke right there. I know. That's our, I could hook up this camera. I could have the Jason cam where look at all of our mess over here. Let me see if I could turn that on. It'd show you guys all of our mess at the side here. We gotta clean up. But I do have a GoPro that's up here. I guess it'd be like a... I didn't charge this thing, I don't think. Let's see if it turns on. Well, it turns on, that's good. Oh, I got a feed. Oh, there you go. Let me see. We're just having fun with it. All right, it's camera 5. So you can see all of our mess over there. Wave hi, Jason. See, hello. Yeah, that guy right there. Check out all the photos and everything. There's the panda. He's staring at us, making sure that we're doing all of our work over there. Don't make the panda mad. But yeah, we got some of our setup right here. This is our replay setup. We got some lights around here. You can see that light right there. We got the camera looking back at us. So yeah, so we got Starbies over there. We got all sorts of goodies that are over there. Coke, Jimmy John's wrappers. We'll clean up later. It isn't a showpiece right now. So let's see here. So yeah, then you'll see the green screen again. Like I said, I want to make it more seamless. I haven't perfected it yet. Like this is the first time I've ever used it, guys. I picked up the green screen like on the side of the road coming up here to this track because I was looking for one on deal. Always need a foreman to keep things in check. I know, that's the panda right there, man. James Leffler, shameless. Yeah, man. You make it happen. Nice. My personal fave is Cherry Coke. I had one of those coming on up here, Smoking Rat. Let's see here. So, yeah, so it's going to be a really fun time. There's a lot of pros out here, just kind of even looking, right? There's Tom Rennerneck over there, from what I can see. Aiden Horn, Davey Botta, Mayfield, Spencer Rivkin, Brock, Dustin's here, Austin Cracknell, Dakota Fenn, Sammy Moran. Let's see who I can kind of see out there right now. We got Dave Botta here. What's happening, Dave? You should come in. Come into the booth. Yeah. Is there a chair over there? Go steal Chris's chair. All right. We're going to test our other audio here, guys. Talk to Dave Botta from Coyote. It'd help if it had batteries. All right, scoot in closer here for me, Dave. We got the green screen up, my man.
Oh, I see the green screen.
All right, let's see if this. Oh, hold on. I need to plug this in. We're gonna have to dial Dave in here, guys. It doesn't work, guys. I'm gonna get Dave a legit one. Here, give me that. We're gonna hook this up. This is live. I feel so terrible not being ready. All right, put that on your noggin. Once I get this all untangled, so unprofessional. See, people can ask questions here. Let's see here. Alrighty, Dave, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think that works. Hopefully you guys can hear us online here. We got Dave Botta here from Coyote Hobbies Raceway. Dude, you guys have been killing it lately.
We've been doing a lot of changes there. We figured out the track surface. We started racing oval, and that's been really good for us. We've done a lot of upgrades to the facility. We got LED lighting. We got more monitors coming, just so that it just makes it a lot better for everybody. We got cooling coming, Matt, for summer.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Yeah, so we're using our new green screen here.
Cool.
We haven't done it before, so we've got a couple different things that we can do on the background, which is kind of cool. So that we got the JConcepts that your head's in the, or your body's in the way, but yeah, we got a couple different cool things on here. So
I saw it from down there. I was down there and I see the green screen up, and then I came up here and saw you.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's all.
That's the haha photo. That's the viral one.
Yeah.
That was a cool shot. But yeah, so we're trying out the green screen. We haven't. Let's see. I think these guys would be in the center, be kind of or looking on. So it's you guys have been coming out, and Davey, you saw that pretty cool shot earlier. If you guys go on JConcepts, go and check that shot out. It's like 80 photos of just Davey Botta.
That was an awesome pick. We saw that last night, and you know, he was all excited that they used him for that. But that was a really cool pick. I think we're gonna blow it up and put it in the shop somewhere.
Yeah, that was a very cool photo. So yeah, it's today's just practice.
Yeah.
Usually they have seating going on today. Why did they opt out of the seating?
I don't know. I mean, it's maybe people just wanted more practice. I couldn't tell you that. I was expecting seating, and to my surprise, no seating. But Davey was okay with that. He said he preferred to break tires in. So I don't know. It's just a change of pace.
Okay. Well, right on. So it's I don't think we have any big time questions here from people. Let me see if I can get in.
So what do you got going on? What's left for you? Is this your last race of the year?
No, man. They got 2 more races.
What do you got going on?
After this one, we got the U.S. Open at Adobe.
Oh yeah, that's
big
next
8
week.
scale race.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come back from that, and my event in Paris was rained out. So I've got my own 5th scale event at the Dirt rescheduled. So you're gonna have to come out and race some 5th scale. 1 weekend before Christmas.
Oh,
it's like the 15th or 16th.
I might be able to go to that finally.
I think you should. I think why wouldn't you is the better question.
I think I'll fire up the RV and the trailer and come out.
You got to do it. And then we got Christmas off, and then we go into New Year's, and Megan and I fly out to Tennessee or fly out to Kentucky
For her family?
No, we're going out there to.
You gonna get married?
Sightsee? No, we're gonna go out there to sightsee. For 2-3 days in Nashville, Tennessee, and then we're going to go to the
INS or the
Clash of Champions.
Yeah, Clash. I won't be going with that. Dave will be going out with you.
Oh, very cool.
You and Sammy, so he'll be out there.
Very cool. We're going to put him on a cot. He's going to be on a cot, and he doesn't have a bed.
Whatever.
It is what it is. He'll sleep on the floor.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a free place to stay.
Yes, it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So we'll go get him.
As long as it's warm, he's all right.
Yeah, it's warm. It's nice.
Yeah.
We'll put him underneath the ping pong table. He's actually pretty decent at ping pong now. He's better than Sammy.
Oh, is he?
Better than Sammy.
Oh man, that doesn't say much.
Oh, this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, guys. So thank you all for tuning in. Nothing really kind of crazy going on today. Maybe we'll grab some people to grab some interviews and see kind of what's going up in the RC world. But we're just, like I said, we're dialing everything in. The green screen's actually pretty sweet. I'm kind of happy with this thing. It's not bad. I picked this thing up on the side of the road for $80. I'm not joking. When I was coming up here, it's true. It's a true story. I've been looking for one for a while, and
and that deal just fell on your lap.
It just worked out where the guy's like, "Hey, I'm in Riverside," and I'm like, "I'm heading that way right now. I got $80 cold dollars."
Yeah.
For you. But this thing's sweet. It collapses down. It's pretty dialed. We need to come out and cover a race at Coyote Hobbies.
Dude, we got 3 of them. 4 of them. We're actually going to add an oval, a standalone oval race.
Okay.
And then, Jimmy, I'm going to be talking to Jimmy Babcock on Monday or Tuesday about working something out. Maybe see if we can get back on the JBRL series for the year.
Back on the tour?
Yeah.
Right on.
So.
Right on. Well, good stuff, Dave. But the boy's been going quick. Been very impressed with his progress this year. He's been on it.
He's getting better exponentially right now. I mean, but what that means, I don't know. I mean, I just know he's getting better quick. But he's putting the work in. A lot of people don't see the behind-the-scenes stuff. He's at the track every day, driving every day. So for those of you that want to do this and want to get more serious, if you put in the work, good things will happen.
No, most definitely. And he's putting in the time, kind of transferring over from stock, and you guys have been putting in the sweat equity, I would say. That's for sure. It doesn't start from nowhere. Obviously, he has talent, so it's really good. So let's see how he's able to shape up a lot of pros here this weekend. So it should be pretty interesting.
Well, I know. Up until about a couple hours ago, he was going the fastest in both classes. I think Brock stepped it up in 2-wheel and got him by like a tenth. But they're all within tenths of each other. It's not like they're going like half a second faster. So, but he's going good. He's pretty happy right now. He's happy.
Right on. Well, thank you, Dave, so much for joining us. And guys, go and check out Coyote Hobbies and an awesome track in Victorville, California.
How many viewers do you have right now?
We got 70. 70 total people. We'll have more.
Yeah, that's still pretty good for like a practice day.
Our chat is dead though, so I don't like that, guys. You guys should be popping up in there asking Coyote Dave here questions.
I got all kinds of questions. A lot of useless facts.
Or maybe answers. He's got all sorts of answers for you.
Yeah.
Nobody in the chat's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
But yeah. What are a couple races that we have going on at Coyote?
We're done for the year. We just wrapped up our Triple Crown Championship Series. We have three big races. They're all standalone, but we link them together for a Triple Crown. And then we do give a big Triple Crown trophy at the end.
Those are really nice, by the way. They're all like lasered out and welded together.
Yeah,
they're heavy.
They're pretty good. This year
20 pounds.
We're gonna put lights in them.
That's pretty sweet.
So they could be like a little night lamp. But yeah, so we have the California State Championships is going to be the first week in February. Midsummer Shootout will be the second week in June. I did list it as the first week, but then INS came in and took one of those that weekend that we had it. And I don't, we have Davey and Sammy both want to go to all the rounds, so I didn't want to have to kind of make them feel guilty if they went and didn't come to my race. So I'm going to move my race to the second week of June. And then the third race, which is the Fall Classic, I believe is in October.
Okay.
So
right on.
And then we'll have like an oval race somewhere in April or May.
Very cool.
Yeah, so.
Got a couple guys. What's going on, Josh Keith? Smoky Ranch doesn't know what to ask. We got Dan here visiting CHR in a couple weeks from Australia.
Oh, that'd be great.
So very cool. Hello from NYC.
Yeah.
From New York City-ish.
Yeah, Bob Lucas. Yeah, we're in Victorville.
Yep, right on. And they're one of the premier tracks in California, guys. I would say there's, 3 left?
3 left.
There's you guys, Bakersfields for Rainmans, and San Diego.
Yep.
So go out and support your local tracks, guys. And obviously, the premier track in Arizona is Hobby Action. This place is amazing.
Yeah, they keep getting better and better. And, a little bit of a secret here. They might be sealing the surface.
Oh, so
yeah. That might be something coming here in the future. I know they're going to try it. I don't know how it's going to work here, but I know they're going to try it here. Yeah.
So that's it's pretty sweet, guys. Larry Tom, I can't give enough shout out to him as he takes care of us, and this place, no expense spared. It is very, very nice, and the world's coverage that we had here, they pulled out all the stops.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
This is probably, all the travels that we've done, it's probably the nicest facility.
Yeah, hands down.
Probably they have the best pit area as far as space and comfort. I haven't seen another pit area that's this roomy. About this many pits that's roomy like this. A lot of times you're all crammed together, and not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but you're always comfortable in the pits here. Track size is like perfect, I would say. They got a really nice driver stand. Their store is immaculate. They got everything you would possibly need. Yeah, great facility.
Right on. So it's good. And you guys have made improvements at Coyote as well. I saw you put in, a couple TVs. You guys have been cleaning up the shop, and you guys have the sealed surface now. Ultimate traction out there at Coyote Hobbies.
Yeah.
And shout out to Hoosier. Eddie was a huge integral part in that, and
Eddie,
we'll be at Hoosier for the Clash, and everybody kind of working together.
Yeah, Eddie helped me with mine. I think we do it a little bit different than Eddie does, but I've let him know what I've done different that's worked for me, and he really liked that advice that I gave him. So, but Eddie's got a great facility over there. Huge. Probably the biggest facility that I've been to. Indoor.
Yeah, easily. And they got an oval track in there, and a massive 10 scale track.
Yeah, it's like 130
it's
by 90. It's huge.
It's wider than this, and it's deeper than this too.
Well, this one I think is 70, and his is 90 deep. So another 20 feet, which is a lot. And then he's like another 35 feet longer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So huge track.
Huge track. Great layouts too there. Nice and flowing,
and it's always kind of different too.
Yeah.
So definitely check out the Clash of Champions, guys. I know we'll be out there as well, and doing that one, but we'll see. I need this thing isn't, obviously we can take this thing on the plane, but I can get a green sheet on the plane, so that
Dude,
might
you can have all kinds of stuff in the background. Like Godzilla and Kong fighting.
I know,
you could. Here like
you can do anything.
We get the little watch. We're like giant robot.
Yeah, we could.
With
We could play
monsters
anything.
fighting in the back.
Anything could be done. This is true.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's a pretty cool little feature, and we'll perfect it. I'm not so proficient yet with switching everything, but you start somewhere. So it's a good time.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So yeah, RC Park, they spared no expense. Yeah, it's really, really nice. So
Is that the one that's in California in Palm Desert? RC Park? Or is that different?
Welcome to NRC Park. So it's I think he's talking about like this place. No expense spared for this place. No, it's Hobby Action is the best. So it's a very, very cool facility. Bucket list for anybody that's out there, and a fabulous place for the Worlds. That was earlier this year. But yeah, so hello from Belgium. What's going on, Danny? So yeah, we're just let me see. Oh, Jurassic Park joke. Oh, I got it. Right on, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I got to go figure out some other audio stuff for the house announcer, but thank you to Dave for popping in here. Greatly appreciated, sir. And, well, hopefully Davey will be following along with the kid.
Yep.
Seeing how he's doing this weekend.
You guys are going to get a special treat for sure with the Mod Live media coverage. You guys will be able to see all the action.
This guy's been a huge supporter. I think you were one of the first to bring us on for.
Yep.
It was a midsummer or something like that. You're like, hey, could you cover our race? And I was like, I guess.
Yeah, we're still waiting for some other stuff coming from your end. So.
What's that?
Huh?
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Timing?
Oh yeah. RCGT.
Yeah, but
yeah, we're actually that's up here. Look. We're gonna be using stuff this weekend. Let me see. You guys will see this come across. Let me refresh it real quick. Yeah, I got all the timing right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we got some good stuff right there from rcgtiming.com. So yeah, just working on everything, but it's really good. Really, really good.
How's the racing at Huckleberry?
Huckleberry has been awesome. We're running a little series down there right now for it, and the Holiday Bash series.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock start, and we're giving a ton of raffle prizes away. Nice custom trophies at the end. $10 of each entry goes to the racers pot and a raffle, and yeah, it's pretty sweet.
This is on Tuesdays?
Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock, and we're done at about 10 to 10:30. And electric e-buggy, truggy, and short course.
Yeah, you
should come down.
I should come down.
You should. It's
I'm
a good
racing
little
a
track.
lot. I'm racing a lot now.
I saw you're running Rowdy Round.
Yeah, Davey doesn't need me no more.
A lot of oval.
So I've been doing a lot of oval.
I saw World Dominance.
World Domination was
World
in
Domination.
effect.
World Domination.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm getting better. So
you'll be able to compete with Davey soon enough.
No, I'll be able to compete with you.
I don't think so.
Yeah, remember our one lap challenge?
I'll still beat you.
One lap. Nah, I got you in Las Vegas.
That was like 3 years ago.
I got you though.
And you ran though.
Yeah, but I beat you one time. I retired.
Oh
I'm good.
my God.
So, yeah.
This guy, guys.
But it's coming. I'm coming back.
All right. I love it. I love the competition.
Well, thanks for having me. And
well, thank you, sir. I
good luck
appreciate
this weekend.
Thank you, buddy.
All right.
Alrighty, guys. So we're going to get Dave out of here. I'm going to click on over to that screen number 1. So definitely go and check out Coyote Hobbies, guys. They're an awesome racetrack out in Victorville, California. And yeah, we got to dial in the rest of our audio, as I've said 17 million times. That's pretty sweet. And I got cords everywhere here, guys. It's pretty terrible. My cord management needs help. Can't wait for the spring NAS from Endos RC. Let's see here. You guys can... Oh, no, you don't want that. Ah, yeah. Green screen. I can't ever do it. I couldn't be a look, the panda there in the back, right there looking at me, making sure that I'm working. It's terrible. Yeah, I couldn't be a, I should know, it's right there. I should point, but it looks like I need a point over there. Because I want a point right there, but that would be on the screen. It's opposite. Like a mirror. Yeah, I couldn't be a weatherman. I couldn't do it. It'd be terrible. They'd fire me on the first day. I've gotten my cable management actually pretty good. It's just when you come to all these events, it just becomes a mess because you're just trying to set it all up and it's all different. It's getting torn down anyways. So like when you have like a nice setup that you can just like take your time and you're going to lay down those cords and it's just done and you can get nice wraps for them. I have my cases pretty nice, so that's pretty sweet for my my loadout cases when we go to events. There's a full shot right there for you guys. Is there a lower skill 13.54? I think there's an independent 13.54 wheel drive. Where's that sound coming from? Should be a little bit better. What's going on, Tyrone? What's happening, man? As I'm getting kind of used to, let's just see. How do I do this? Ah. Pro status. Ah, look at them looking on. Boom. I like that shot. That's actually pretty cool. I need to save more of these type of backgrounds. It's like close in RC car shots. It's a pretty cool background photo. I like that. Danny, what's happening, man? Or Denny Pet. I'm here for the waffles from Tyrone. We will have one. Well, I'll set it up tonight. I will set it up tonight. I got to see what the special top giveaway is going to be. Top giveaway. It's going to be pretty sweet. And once again, we're out here at the JConcepts INS13 finals. They are blowing off the track right now. They're going around there. This is a pretty cool background. You guys like the green screen? I feel like a professional right now. I feel like big time with my own professional changing background. What have I been missing all my life? Kind of a creepy photo. When they're kind of just looking at you. This is my buddy Joe Chen right there. That was one of our events for the Mini Z Worlds. That was pretty cool. Thank you to Joe Chen, Rad Body, bringing us on out. There's some cool shots we'll have right there during the race, and that's during the Worlds right there. There's Orlowski and Rivkin. Rivkin's here this weekend. Let me see here. Yeah, put him on a rotating loop, possibly. Man, I can put together. Jason's already over here. Look at this, guys. Look. Let me see. What camera are you on? He's on that camera. See? So Jason just put up. Matt, I can put together a slideshow of photos just for your green screen. Why wouldn't you do that? You should already be doing it, Shu. I call him Shu, guys. That's Jason. He's our crack. I can't say crackpot photographer. Our top-notch photographer over there. We have fun. How long have I known you, Shu? Since I was like 17. Or no, longer. Since I was like 12. I was like 13 years old when I met this guy. And then we both worked at the same job just by happenstance. I was like, I know you. And now we brought him out. 20 plus years. So he's an awesome guy. If you guys have a wedding, that dude's your man right there. If you guys have a wedding, need to check with Jason Bollinger Photography. He's amazing. Didn't you shoot Adam Drake's wedding? Yeah, he shot Adam Drake's wedding, guys. So he's the best. Period. There's no better than Jason. So let's see here. Oh, sweet. So he's gonna put on some. He goes, it would be terrifying. All right. Let me see here. Yeah, so he's going to build up a slideshow here for us, guys, and kind of putting, pretty sweet. A couple different photos. What are some of the ones that I preloaded? There's another one I preloaded. That was me and Joe at the PN Racing World Cup. And that was for Mini Z Worlds. Those things are freaking super cool. That's our crew that was there. That's Megan out there. That's Jason in the center, Ari and David. David's going to be here, so right there. No, right there. So David will be out here helping. He'll probably be doing some announcing with us this weekend. We got some car liveries on screen there. We'll have some of these, but not all of them. I still have to get a lot of people uploaded. It's not done, obviously. Here's the most viral RC photo that's ever going to be, which Jason shot. So it's with Nelson right there, crushing the car. Uh-oh, I'm out of focus now. Uh-oh, there we go. That was a pretty good photo. That was amazing. That was all in real. That's a real shot. That wasn't staged. That's a 1 in a million shot. I think I really like these. I really like those. The close-up photos are awesome. Like where it's like, those are cool. I like those. Like as like a background shot, they're super cool. Really? All right. You're going to have to bring those over. So we're going to have shots of Kenwald's cars, guys, coming up on the JConcepts channel, and we'll be showing you guys some of those. Got Jackie out there that's doing his work. It is only practice today. Yeah, Danny Pett. That was the photo of the year. I think that's the photo of ever right now. Easily the one of the best photos. I need to show you that. I don't know if I have the Davey Botta photo. The Davey Botta photo was super cool. If you guys go over to, still seeing how to upload things to this thing. We're rookies over here, guys. It's terrible. Brian and Michelle, what's happening, guys? Hello, hello. Go to camera 2 here, see what they're doing there on the track. They're kind of finishing stuff up. So, yeah, special thanks again to RC Garage, guys. Go and get your guys' profiles and rcgtiming.com. Been amazing. So, we're going to... we got Jason Rona over here, too. Should come in, Jason. Grab the chair. Is there a chair over there? We got Jason Rona here, guys. The man, the myth, the legend. All right, we'll click him over here. There you go, Jason. I'm getting this all dialed in. So Jason, thank you for coming in. Scoot in a little bit for me, so you're in the screen there. There, perfect. We got the green screen up. It's getting a little bit better every time.
Pretty nice.
It's getting a little bit better every time, and it's
like
actually that's live though. This will be live. It is live.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we're the bird's nest position here, just by the track.
It's pretty sweet. Let me see if I can switch over. We can do the. I like this shot.
Oh, we got some cars in the background.
Yeah, it's got the JConcepts logo. It's behind you, but there's one right there, and then we had the couple different photos. We had this shot.
That's the famous one.
That's the famous shot.
Yeah.
That's a famous shot right there. And then here where it'd be the mod guys are looking at us.
The glamour.
We'll have to get a glamour shot for you. But no, it's super good time out here at the at this event. It's this is INS13, so 13 years of running the this awesome series, and now for next year, it's actually much different.
It is, yeah. I mean, we're still going to do INS. It's called INS because of the Indoor National Series. All the events are indoor. So, yeah, what we did is, before we had 9 events between the 2 series, between the INS and the NCTS, and kind of looking at the calendar and looking at what was going on, I just kind of felt like it was going to be beneficial to everybody to kind of simplify what we kind of had going on with from the 9 dates, kind of going to 5 total dates. And we still get, 2 races on the carpet, and we get 3 races on dirt. And we tried to put the events where we felt we were going to get the largest turnouts as well. And I just think that, when we started, obviously 13 years ago, whatever it was, there was not as many 10-scale events on the calendar. In of course, there was what we were finding is the difficulty when we got into October, November, December, and that section of dates. There's a lot of events that started popping up in that area that we were in. We're all kind of conflicting with another, and so we would be somewhere doing a race, and then there'd be another race going on somewhere else. We couldn't, and so we kind of felt like, well, maybe the difference between dirt and carpet isn't as big as it used to be, because on dirt now, the majority of the tracks were running on slicks. Actually, all of them that we run at are on slicks, so we felt like the difference between running on slicks and running on carpet now isn't as great of a difference as it really used to be, and they're more of the same, and you're getting more of the same drivers running on both. So that's the goal now, is to kind of work these 2 events together, these 2 surfaces together, where drivers can kind of run both on the same series, and it's a best of 3 of 5. And in this situation, you have 2 carpet. If that's your specialty is carpet, you got 2 events to do your damage, and then you got to get 1 dirt event in there to kind of get your other points. And for a driver that's better at dirt, they got 3 events to do their damage, and then sometimes they don't all go perfect, and you're going to need that other event, whether it's on carpet then at that point, to try to get some other better finishes. So yeah, that's the idea, is to kind of make things a little more simple for us, the racers we have doing this, and trying to locate the facilities or the tracks that were attracting the bigger turnouts the last couple of years. And so that's what we did, and it also kind of opened the door for us to add 1 more dirt oval event. So we got 3 dirt oval events that are JConcepts national dirt oval events. We haven't made them a series, but now they're just individual races. Maybe down the road, if we add some dirt oval events, they're a little bit different than off-road events, and obviously attracts a different driver, and maybe that'll be a point series at some point for dirt oval.
It's really cool. You see these different racing venues that happen. We have the drag racing. Obviously, you have monster trucks and everything, and we see those pop up. But dirt oval, I've seen it's always been there, and it seems to be taking on a major surge right now within the community. As far as like racing, it's almost like the off-road racing, where it's getting very, very popular, and the cars are they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, what we're trying to do is we're trying to work with the other events that are out there in terms of kind of simplifying this off-road series, but give us the opportunity to do some dirt oval and kind of be in a different genre of RC, where maybe we need to work on some stuff, or maybe where we need to get better, and where we can learn a little bit, and then give it a little bit of a place to grow, because dirt oval has, like you said, been around for a long time. It is in a very good position right now. I feel like it is growing, and that's why we wanted to be more involved with the races. And I think that it is missing, for the lack of a better word. You can buy a lot of dirt oval kits, and they're really good. The GFRP, the Custom Works, and all these different cars, but really that associated vehicle doesn't exist in dirt oval yet.
So get something you could just put this in, you're competitive.
Yeah, and sure, those cars are competitive, but they're a little bit of a different, I'm not going to say different market, but they're carbon fiber and aluminum.
Yes, yeah, correct.
And I think in this, there might be room for a slightly more inexpensive dirt oval car that packs the same type of performance and is readily available with one of these major brands. And now you're talking about maybe you can get into a nice dirt oval car similar to say a B64 or a B6.4 or whatever, and you have a really solid platform, and then you can kind of build from there, right? If you want to then get into the chassis stuff and all that, but that vehicle just hasn't existed in this. Like I said, sure, there's great cars out on the market, but it's a little bit different of a vehicle. They're more like how the drag racing cars ended up.
Yes.
That's how the dirt oval cars look a little more like, and because I think one came from the other. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you don't have that level of resource that maybe a top level kit manufacturer. It's not that they're top level from a quality. It's
Correct.
more of an availability, or been in the game for what is this, Associated's 40th year anniversary of the RC10. So that whole genre could be in a position to have a major explosion if something like that happened, because however you want to slice it, it does open the door to more people if you have a an Associated or a TLR or something like that get into that segment, if they do, it opens the door to more people. And then it's still, what it does is, it's still, if it makes the whole thing grow a little bit, everybody that's already been involved in Dirt Oval, they'll capitalize off of it as well. So yeah, for us, we're kind of setting the deck a little bit so that one of these things could happen down the road in Dirt Oval. And I think that we're kind of poised in the industry a little bit for something like that to happen, and we're trying to put the pieces in place in case that it does. And I think that a lot of our items are used in Dirt Oval because they cross over from 10 scale off-road to Dirt Oval. Tyler loves Dirt Oval. He does a lot of our events, and he loves racing it. I've only raced it once, and I really liked it. It was at our event at Alex Sturgeon, the track that he runs there at Hobbyplex. I was there. I ran some Dirt Oval, and I mean, every RC car that I've ever raced, I pretty much like. The only thing I never really liked, and it was way at the beginning, was when I tried drag racing, and it's just, that was way at the beginning, because there was just not, the car and the radio and all that meant so much. In this, I felt like you could do a little more with the driving. But anyway, everything I've ran, I've kind of liked over the years, whether it was 12 scale or 10 scale pan cars or touring car. I pretty much ran a Worlds in all those different classes. So I've liked them all over the years, and I think the Dirt Oval thing is really kind of in a position to make a strong push to be one of the stronger segments in the game. Some of the numbers, I think Live RC has a kind of an activity report or something, with transponders and stuff, and it's showing that's Dirt Oval has a very strong segment. It has a very strong showing in that segment. So it's kind of cool to see. And
that's good, and you kind of see even Hobby Action and Coyote. They do the hybrid setup where they'll run an oval in the center, and that's pretty sweet. It's really cool to see.
And I think this track is built with that in mind as well. Mm-hmm. I think an oval in here. So, I've had a lot of the obviously Larry, Tom, Jake, all the guys in the shop. They're like, oh man, are you mad at us? We don't have a race here next year. And I'm kind of thinking, well, no, but
maybe an oval race.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're looking at, is something like that. And I think that, we've been here a ton. We were here a ton this year.
This year we've been here a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the 4th or 5th big event here. And I think that they have a good thing going here. We don't really need to recap the Worlds. It was amazing. Your coverage, stuff you guys did, and made it look great. And they don't really need a lot of help here, honestly. This is one of the more successful, going back to the Live RC and all that, if you look up races and club races, this is probably one of the most successful RC indoor tracks in America, if not the most successful.
Yeah.
So they have a lot to be proud of here, and that's a good thing.
No, most definitely. I think that's, you kind of put a good point on it too, is you guys actually go out to a lot of these, I wouldn't say fringe tracks, but a lot of these tracks that might not be known sometimes, and kind of give them more coverage to let people know, that they exist and stuff like that, and bring out the coverage. And you brought out Jason Bollinger, our photographer from the Worlds. You're like, hey Matt, is he busy here and there? And he's shot some of the coolest photos, and then obviously has the most viewed photo, which is up on the screen right there behind us. So he, I think that thing has like 1 million views.
I think
it was something ridiculous.
I'm sure the funny part for him is shooting so much different photos throughout the years. I'm sure he feels like, really, this is the one that is like, this is the one that I get all the looks and the views on, and he's just
he goes, I was talking to him earlier, he goes, it was pure luck.
Yeah.
He goes, it was pure luck, Matt. And I'm like, well, you had to be there to do it. I'm like, it's pretty cool. So
yeah, well, that's the success of it, right? Is there's so many like little hidden jokes of part of the one photo, so that's the success of it. But yeah, him working with him on some of these races. Obviously, Hannah's not with us anymore. We're doing some different things with doing some of these different events, and Jason's been a part of that now at these 2 different events. And it's what's interesting about photography, video, all that type of stuff is everybody has a little bit of a different style, and I kind of like to I love photos personally, and but I kind of like to see what their style is. What is it that they like to do? How do they like to do it? And kind of run with it a little bit. If that's what you like, and it makes it a little different than the last time, let's do that a little bit, And I think,
yeah, what you're exactly saying is because he was asking me before. He goes, well, what does Jason want me to do and shoot? And I'm like, no, I've worked with him a while. He kind of just lets me do whatever I want to do, and like he's usually pretty easy to work with.
Yeah.
And if you're good at your job, you're hiring them for a reason. You know that they have talent, and everybody has, what they do. But you can definitely tell when you see people's different work, like, oh, that's that photographer, or oh, that's that one, no, it's really cool. And like you're been a huge supporter of Mod Live Media. I think we were talking at I think it was Florida Carpet Championships. You saw me and you're like, man, what are you doing with all this stuff?
Why are you doing this?
I've done a little bit different things. I'm like, why are you doing this? You know me as a racer and at MIP and everything.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it? I'm like, oh, I'm trying to make the hobby grow. You're like, would you like to shoot our series for us?
Yeah.
And I really didn't. I was just covering a couple different events, but and then we're doing the world's coverage, and I would say even from the green screen behind us, like it's some of those things where you have to build up to it. Rome wasn't built in a day. A lot of these things, like you just don't know until you actually do it, and it just gets better. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, and what everybody doesn't really see about all these types of things is there is an expense. There's a huge expense to doing these type of things. There's a huge expense not only for you and your equipment, having people, because it takes people to make it, to fill it out and to make it right. And obviously you had the monster crew at the Worlds, and you're able to use everybody in a position that they felt comfortable with, and it comes out well. And that is key, but it's a big cost in this. And
Huge.
then, so what you have is you have a cost in the equipment, your personal time, your learning, and then you're giving up, your own personal time and your weekends and everything to do this type of thing. And it's not like, and really in order to get paid, the series, the racer, the entries, all this stuff, the sponsors have to somehow help contribute and pay, for you to be here and to do this. And that's what we try to do, is we try to make it so that the manufacturers and the racers that are doing this, they feel like they're getting something out of it, and anybody can win, even though it is the JConcepts series. I was talking to Spencer about this today. When we first started, it was important that I felt that it was important that we won, right? Like that we, that our product performed well. It was a winning product, and it was important to me personally. But as we've kind of gone along over the years, it's also good if racers, like, I know probably the first one to win was Ty Tessman, who won on our series that wasn't using our product. And it's also like, it's okay because for them to follow the series and have success with a different brand, to me kind of helps validate it a little bit too, because now it's not just a series for us, it's a series for every manufacturer. They can come in and win. We're not selecting the track that works the best for our product. We're selecting the tracks that we like to work with the best, and anybody can come in with their sponsor and be competitive is the idea. We got Aiden Horn, who's competitive in the points here for the overall and two-wheel drive, I believe. He doesn't race for us, but we have several of our drivers that are right there with them. So it's going to be a race for the points championship. Sure, we want to win because you always want to win no matter what you're doing, but it's nice to see that he can be successful too, because he's doing the races, he's supporting his sponsors, and he can also have some success on all the different tracks. That helps, to me, it helps the series, it helps other drivers say, hey, you know, I'm going to go and do that, because obviously we got Mason Templeman. He's been to just about every one of our races the last couple of years, and he's out here being really competitive. He's got his competition, like you know, Doug and all these guys that run in the stock classes, but you know, they're being competitive, you know, supporting their sponsors, and to me now that's important part of the series, because it's important that they feel they can come and race and everything works well for them enough to be competitive and have a good overall year.
No, and I think, and you know, just full transparency, you've never told me like, hey, Matt, shoot this person or do that. Like, it's always cover the event.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, interview whoever. And same thing with Jason, you know, shooting photography, he's shooting everything. You know, it might not be a JConcepts sponsor thing. That's not what it's about. It's about, you know, the entire thing. And, you know, JConcepts.net has been such a huge supporter of the racing community. I'd say you guys are the biggest, you know, as far as I couldn't think of another racing manufacturer. I know there's even Team Associated supports a lot, obviously. Yep. I know A-Main does as well. But from a racing standpoint, I think you guys have really narrowed in on, and you are always at the events.
I mean, that's what we try. That's what we try to do.
And giving it coverage, I should say, not at the events, but you're like, hey, we want to support the coverage. We want to support more eyeballs getting on RC.
Yeah, I think to me, a lot of that came from where I feel like it's kind of put your money where your mouth is, right? If you're going to say that you're about racing and you're a racing manufacturer, then you should probably be there, and you should probably be supporting the racers, and you should probably be trying to, you know, sponsor events that are good for RC or one of those type of things. And I kind of feel like we're in that position where we want, if there's money to be put into it, we want to put it where we feel that the name is, which is in the racing part of it. Sure, we have a lot of different products, we have a lot of different genres we support, but this is where it starts for us, and this is where our guys are best at, and we want to support it. And I think for us to act like we support it, but we really are disappeared in real life, I think that kind of sends like not really the best message, you know. Sure, we could have sponsored drivers, we could act like we're all into it, but just be disappeared from the rest of it, not sponsor anything, not give anybody any money for or tracks that, you know, help support their event, you know, because that's another big part of this business too, is, you know, a lot of people ask you for sponsorships and ask you for money all the time, because it's like, hey, we're having this race, do you want to be a platinum sponsor? And it's just like, okay, so what's the race? You know, like we talked about TNR the other day, and it's like, you know, he sent me some information. I'm just like, man, this is a massive, great event last year. And it's like, yeah, we want to be a part of it and support it, because it's like, not only is it our event, we of course want to support and sponsor, but if something else is going good and it's a great event, yeah, I mean, we want to support it and sponsor it too. You know, like when, you know, OCRC used to have the big Surf City. I was there every year. That was a Proline sponsored event, going back many years to when OCRC started, and we supported that too. You know, we were there for it. So obviously, many races that Jimmy Babcock has had over the years. I mean, there's, you know,
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
JConcepts is absolutely everywhere and does a little bit of everything from well, in all scales. So what's on the docket? You guys have the series for next year. We're rounding out 2023. Has it been a successful year for JConcepts just overall? And then what are you guys looking forward to in 2024?
Yeah, I think on the series side of things, I think it's two sides. I think when we started looking at it, Tyler and I and Paul, Allison, and everything, I have two sides. Like, I'm like, man, I really loved going to tracks I've never been to before. You have a different look, you have a different feel. It's always a little more exciting, but it's also good to go to where you know that there's going to be a great turnout, or you know there's going to be it's well supported. And I think what we went with the national series, we're like, okay, this is a national level event. You know, we want the drivers who win it to be very on par talent-wise with which would win the Roar Nationals, right? So if you have a Dakota Finn and Spencer Rivkin or Ryan Mayfield or whoever the Ryan Mayfield may be, if they can win the Roar Nationals and they also can win the JConcepts series, I feel like it's like those are the drivers that race our national series are the ones that are the best nationally. So it makes sense. To me, personally, I love to race and be at the races where I've never been to before. Like when we went to Island, I had a really good time there with the group, me and Tyler and Brandon Foote. We were kind of like our little group there that we had at our table, and I actually enjoyed that probably more than a lot of the other events that we've done because it was a new track, new location, a little bit of a different group, and that was a lot of fun. And you know, but I think what we had talked about is down the road is maybe doing some like regional type events where, and we have a couple of events that aren't on our series already. Like we have a race in Blue Springs, Missouri, which is the winter indoor shootout, which I would consider a great regional event. Where maybe down the road, I think the idea is to have the national series, and then maybe what we have is the ability to have regional style of events that are at different tracks and stuff that's not necessarily on the radar as much. So then it gives us the opportunity to go to somewhere we've never been to before, without sacrificing that national level event of just moving everybody there before we kind of test it out and check it out, right? So it's like I can have that good experience like we had at Island, but without really knowing, we don't have to bring or try to bring everybody there. We can experience it and have a level of event that is still good in you know, for a region style race. And then maybe down the road, if you know, tracks or the series changes, or we decide we want to go at little different locations, then we have these new places or different areas we can go to that isn't the same old, right? We have different places to go to. But so yeah, that was something we talked about, is we have the national, we have the dirt oval, and then having some of these regional style of events where it's more low key, right? It's more of a, I'm not going to say club race with a name, but that's kind of like the direction that it kind of is, a regional.
Little big race. Yeah.
And less commitment, but the track still kind of feels like they can have something, they get something out of it entry-wise, helps the track. You know, maybe they have 100 to, you know, 150 entries or whatever you know, that's still a good race. No,
so, most definitely. And
that's
like
kind of
like you said, going to Island, I think that's going to be the second or third one on the series there in June, and it felt like it was almost like a playhouse. You know, I'd never seen something quite like it. 'Cause it started out as like a collectibles hobby shop, I think, and then they kind of got into racing, so it's kind of still has that flair, and like each different room was a different theme. So it was really, really cool. And then they had oval there as well, dirt oval.
Yeah, and you know, and that's another opening is, you know, right away they wanted to, you know, show us the dirt oval that had been super successful for them. They had mentioned that one of, if not the biggest race they've had there, between our race and their big dirt oval, those are the two biggest races they've had at that location. So they were proud of their oval track too. And like you said, to me, I was telling somebody that, like, if I was like, the track reminded me of like, if I was there was in the 80s, there was this movie where the kid was, he was just this rich kid, and he just told his dad, it was the one with Richard Pryor, The Toy. It's called The Toy.
Okay.
Well, you know, the kid is kind of like this rich kid, and he's just told his dad what he wanted. And it's like, to me, I was kind of felt like that track, the building and everything, it felt like if you were in a movie and you said, hey, Dad, build me a track. I don't care, like, and it just has these bright colors, and it's got like this upstairs loft. You can look over the track, and like that's what it kind of reminded me of. Is like if you were this like rich kid in the movies in like the 80s, and you said, build me like a cool RC track.
And that was it.
That's
That's Island.
That's what it would be in the movie. So I just kind of thought it was, like you said, it was neat the way it was decorated.
Very, very neat.
And it was clean. Everything was clean, and that was, it's important. And it's hard to get that in RC because traditionally we've had dirt tracks, and dirt tracks, no matter how prepped they are, like this one.
Even they use this, like a little Zamboni, I call it a Zamboni, but a little mop thing you see in like Walmart, you know, and they follow behind it just to wipe up, and you just always have that, you know, thin layer of dust even on all of our equipment, where it's just you know, it's just everywhere. And it's nice with carpet. I can see the, you know, I love dirt, I think we all do, but I can see the definitely the draw for it. So it's
and I think kind of going back to the other thing was, you know, when I look at, you know, it was important for us to have that name Indoor National Series. I felt like, hey, you know, even if we change the surface, it's still indoors, it's still a national series. And then, but I kind of feel at some point there's going to be a time where we race 10 scale outdoors again. And I don't really know when it's going to happen. It's not that we don't race 10 scale outdoors. I mean, the Worlds is going to be outdoors in 2025.
Yes. It's like a diesel track, though, right?
But in general, in general, it's kind of like, well, we race 8 scale outside and we race 10 scale inside. Well, I think there is going to be a time where 10 scale, something's going to happen where there's going to be 10 scale outside again. And I kind of feel like when the time is right, I kind of would like to have an outdoor
event.
Event. Like we did the Clash back in the day. We had the JConcepts Clash, which the idea of that was to combine 8 scale and 10 scale together. That's when we started that in 07 was, well, we have these two segments. We have 8 scale and 10 scale, but it kind of feels like they didn't work together. You know, like there was the 10 scale guy and the 8 scale guy. And we were like, well, let's just kind of combine it. You know, that's where the Clash name came in. So it was the JConcepts Clash, which was the where the powers explode. That was the tagline. So we had this event, and it was outside, and we were always trying to give people that experience that we had in the 90s at Lake Park in Tampa, where they had this magical race in the 90s called the Winter Championships. And we were trying to bring a little bit of the magic from that race, because the first race was in Lake Park. 2 or 3 of the events we had, the Clash, were actually at Lake Park because of that. But so down the road, I just kind of feel like we are going to run something outside again and with 10 scale. And I don't know if it's a one race or if it's a series or if it's a Clash kind of thing. But I just feel like there's going to be a time where we're going to want to do it again. And I don't know when it is. If it's a vehicle that's going to hit, you know, some vehicle that hits that just says this needs to be raced outside, and then that's how we do it. That's the launching pad for it. Or but there's just going to be a time, I think, and we're kind of leaving that door open with the naming of the series and everything, so that there could be an outdoor event at some point.
Now, in your opinion, would the car designs have to change? Like before, like I started with a XX and then XXX era at SoCal, but then I'd run the JBRL, and we go to like Camarillo, we were at Hot Rod, we were up in Bakersfield at Rain Man's or whatever it was at the time, and they were all outdoor tracks. We had hole shots on there, or double Ds, you know, from JConcepts with the rib tires on the front, the edges and everything, and you know, and they were ripping. It was a ton of fun, and I raced in my local track, Huckleberry, and that's now basically the main spot in Southern California, and we got JConcepts stuff there as well. You guys support that. We have a little shop that's there for them, but it's realistically it's on a smaller track, but all that we run there is like 8 scale electric, e-truggy, e-buggy, and short course 4-wheel drive. and it's a perfect track, honestly, for 10 scale, but nobody's really brought them out yet.
Yeah.
Like, we've had a couple little four-wheel buggies, and they're a blast to run, but no two-wheel drives yet. We really haven't had anybody out there.
I think what it's going to take is I think it's going to take a purpose-built car back to dirt. And it's kind of like it, and I think that it could happen, but one of these big guys have to take a shot at it and say, you know what, I think we've gone as far as we can go with slicks and a carpet track. And at some point, I always say that there's going to be a reboot. Like, I think the class is going to reboot at some point, and we're going to have some more I call it a backyard track. Probably the track that I think about, that might be your Huckleberry might be the one you think of. The one I think of in Florida was called Shiverville, is where we raced, and it was actually their front yard, not their backyard.
Was that the one with like the orange dirt that you guys
They're
had
all
there?
orange dirt.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I
all
would
our
always
tracks.
see you with like double D's, and your car would come back and it'd have this blasted orange dirt, red dirt on it.
That's exactly what it looked like. That's exactly what it looked like every time we were there. But it was a track in the guy's front yard, but dimensionally, I thought it was the right size for something that you could work on with a small group of people, and you could still race at a very competitive high level. But it wasn't too big where you're just like, man, I don't want to work on this thing. Because that's what happens is these tracks get so big, especially for 8 scale, is it requires machinery, big equipment. You got to move in. You got to have some track builder that comes in and builds you these massive things. And it's like, it's all kind of like way too much, right? Like if you're going to have a backyard track or a front yard track, it really needs to be something that's a manageable size. And then, so the manageable size comes with a little smaller vehicle. So if you're going to have a little smaller vehicle, you kind of want to be on the 10 scale level platform. And I think what's going to happen is down the road, if all these buildings and all these different things become so expensive, to have beautiful tracks like this, racers are still going to want to race, but it might fire people up again to build backyard, front yard tracks where you can have these Huckleberries and Shivervilles of the world. And I think that it's gonna take that one vehicle that is the right size, has the right level of capability, and it'll happen. But I think that the issue we've gotten to is these cars are so predicated on having traction. The track has to have traction for it to work, and that's okay because that's a cool level of racing too. I race on carpet, I've raced with slicks, and it's a great fun way to do it too. But I think that at some point it's nicer, it would serve the industry very well to also be able to race these outside, because if you can have some success inside, and you could kind of double up in a sense and maybe have more outdoor backyard, front yard tracks going, it would be really good for the business, really good for the industry. So I think at some point, kind of leaving the door open there for if we ever wanted to have an outdoor race, outdoor national, something like that. But the track has to be right, the car has to be right to match, and I think that's kind of important. And when I talk to other drivers and other people about it, I think that it would have some success, but it's going to take some right things to kind of come together to make it right. Because you can't, if you're running, you can do 4-wheel drive, maybe at Huckleberry or whatever, but still those cars are becoming so designed and set up for this style track or carpet. We were just at the Florida Carpet Champs, and it doesn't really look like a 4-wheel drive car that in the past, when we had a 4-wheel drive car, you could be 3 seconds a lot faster with a 4-wheel drive car, because the advantage of having 4-wheel drive was dramatic. You could, because you had traction. That was kind of the idea. In 2-wheel drive, you had to manage the front end, what you could get out of the rear end, and a 4-wheel gave you that extra. And we would run races in Florida where we'd be 3 seconds a lap faster in four-wheel drive because we could either do a jump that you couldn't do in two-wheel because you didn't have the traction, or you could do with four-wheel you could run more power. And so all these kind of things that were made four-wheel a big advantage, you could probably do at like a Huckleberry. But the cars now on carpet, the two-wheel drive cars are almost just as good, if not better, than the four-wheel drive cars on carpet, because the lap times are starting to be so close. Like we're just at the Florida Carpet Champs, and just say, for instance, if the fast guys like Orlowski or Bruno, they were doing like 16 flats or something like that in two-wheel. Well, they were just getting into like high 15s in four-wheel drive. So you're talking about the best carpet or turf drivers in the world. They can only squeeze a couple more tenths out of the four-wheel because the two-wheel cars are so capable with that level of traction. Whereas if you go outside, you just have a tremendous amount of speed and capability from four-wheel drive that you didn't have before. And it actually makes the cars better. There's a better separation between the two. When you're seeing them only a couple tenths apart on a track, you're kind of like, well, what's the real point of having these two cars? Because the capability is not really a whole lot
similar.
Yeah, but when you go outside and you can go 3 seconds a lap different now, it's a huge difference. So those are kind of the things that I think that...
I haven't even thought about that. That's pretty quiet. That's pretty crazy.
So I think that those are the kind of things, like, if you were going to go run at Huckleberry or whatever, you could get around pretty good with a four-wheel drive car.
Yeah.
But your two-wheel drive car, especially after running a lot of these races, or if you've ever ran on carpet and you try to go right back outside with a two-wheel buggy that's built for this level of grip, you got some work to do.
Oh yeah.
You'll have some work to do with the car, the tire setup. You'll be looking at that track every step of the way thinking, all right, is it the track better? That's how we did it. That's how we used to do it. You have to read the track.
Do you think that the mid-motor design would still have a place in these outdoor tracks? Or you think we're going to have to go back to a rear motor?
I don't know. I'm not sure how that would really play out, because going back, many years ago, there was a couple tracks we went to in Florida where that were just like the loosest tracks we'd ever been. Because we had a B4 and the Centro.
Yeah, that's right.
So those were the two cars we kind of had at the time. And I remember Paul and I would go out and run on the track, and we had both cars. And even though the track was loose, the mid-motor the Centro at that time, it still produced a good level of grip in the rear. And we were actually having a hard time determining which car to run, because they were kind of close even on the outdoor track with like zero traction. The only car that was substantially better ironically because this was like 2013, was when it was the RC10 Classic came out. So I built an RC10 Classic, and I had our double D's tires in the rear, the rips in the front. This is the 6-gear tranny with a 17.5 motor, and that car had so much more grip than the B4 and the Centro that I was like, this car is amazing to drive. Sure, it wasn't as wide, it wasn't as long, it wasn't as stable, it didn't jump quite as well, but just from point A to point B, it was probably the easiest car to drive. But there was obviously several reasons, that could be too. But I think that you could probably build a mid-motor car for dirt, but I think that there would have to be adjustments to make it work on the dirt, or on low grip dirt, that it would be a little opposite of the way we're doing things today. Today it's the way the cars are built are just for more and more traction from the front, really. That everybody's looking for steering. That's why a two-wheel drive and a four-wheel drive, the two-wheel drives have so much steering now on a carpet track that you're trying to manage that, and there's no advantage to the four-wheel, because your two-wheel, you have all the traction you need in the rear, and you're adding all this to the front on carpet, so there's no advantage for the four-wheel drive anymore. So
And sorry to interrupt
Go
you. Do you see this happening as well, where this shift or this reset is going not only in North America but around the world? Because I know kind of around the world, those guys are all either turf or indoor carpet, and they don't really have any facilities like year round, other than obviously Hoodie Arena, or I know Rana Falk's track and stuff like that. But in general, like the EOS series and those different ones, they go to like different like basketball courts or something like that, and they set it up and then they go away. And I asked some friends over there, they're like, we don't have a home track. Like it's like a little traveling circus for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how that would work, but what I do see and I do follow is I see that there is a pretty decent group of passionate people that are doing some vintage racing out there, that in Australia, in other parts of Europe, in the UK and others, and they're finding tracks that they're running the vintage cars on that are dirt, or they're kind of remind them of a different generation of racing. So I think these tracks can exist. I just don't think that the vehicle quite exists at the moment. I mean, it's not to say that you can't run these cars. I mean, we've run outdoor races with a B6 and we've had great success, but it's not made really for that track. It's made for this track. It's made for a carpet track. So I think it would have to be made for that track, right? It'd have to be a generation of vehicle that's really catered to that level of track. And in reverse to that, you couldn't take that vehicle probably and then go out and run on a carpet track and have any success, because they're completely two different things you're asking for. Running carpet off-road is more like running touring car these days. It hasn't gotten to the point where it's quite as complex. It's a little harder, but it is more similar, I think, to that than it probably is of the old golden era that people talk about in 1/10 off-road. Carpet off-road racing is probably more like touring car than it is than that.
No, and it's the Florida Carpet Championships, and I just see carpet in general. It's just so much easier to open up a facility like that, especially when renting these buildings and everything, where they don't want dirt in there because it creates mold, and you always hear about the temperature. And I was talking to Larry, and he was mentioning to customers where he's like, unless the track is like 77 degrees, like that's like he goes, that's where we want it at. And you look at the humidity and everything else and what it takes to do, and it's easy to set it up. And then to go beyond that, you were talking about the smaller cars, it's easier to set up a track. We shot that World Championships in San Antonio, and it was nuts. These are miniature little pan cars, and you could set that track up in your garage.
Yeah.
So RC is everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another thing about it is, what happened with 8 scale, and it could be argued that 8 scale is the most popular, if not the most popular in the world, but, over time, the tracks have grown and the jumps get bigger and longer in the track, but it also has makes it much more difficult to maintain that level of a track. So if you live in an area that has weather problems, or it's just the weather is unpredictable, you have this, then if it does rain or have weather, you have this massive track that you have to try to work on, and it's just a huge undertaking. So that's what was key about some of these other tracks, is finding the size where it's manageable but still feels really raceable, and you feel like with a couple volunteers or a couple people that you can maintain and keep the track in great running order. And I think that also keeps it open longer because it doesn't require so much work or hiring somebody to do it. I mean, in the old days, like me and Paul, when we'd go to our track in Orlando and we would help them work on it, or we'd go to Tampa, help them work on the track. It wasn't really like you had volunteers, but it wasn't like a thing where you needed all these massive machines. And you look like when Joey builds Silver State. You know what I mean? He's got that big.
He's got that loader that goes in there.
He's got that big front end loader in there, and that thing is massive. I don't know if that thing's like a 4 or 5 yard bucket on that thing or what that. But I mean, those are the kind of machines that you got to have to build a track like that these days, especially in the small amount of time that he has it.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, in general, having that manageable track size, a car that's built for the conditions, a tires that kind of look and feel the part. I think that there is something to that. I think that at some point we will see it again, because when you watch 8-scale racing and when you watch people do the Dirt Nitro Challenge and races like that, they do like that condition. They like that outdoor feel. They like the cars with the tires that have the pins on them. There is something to that, and it's not to say that this, if you're running slicks or you're running carpet, that it's bad. But it's just way different. And I think if we had both things going on well at one time, that would be a big plus for the business or the industry, where we haven't had before, where 8-scale is doing well, 10-scale indoor is doing well, and then if you had this segment of 10-scale outdoor in a different a different surface and a different feel, it's almost like not even the same class in a sense, because it's a 10-scale buggy, but they would be very different, I think. So, and it's not to say, like we said, like they still have 10-scale racing outdoors in many areas, and Australia, the Worlds in 2025 is going to be outside. But what we're going to see, number one thing I think we're going to see when that race happens, is people are going to be like, God, I miss racing 10-scale outdoors. That's the first thing people are going to say when they do that coverage there, is you're going to have this big track, and when the thing's running well, the cars are working well, because it'll be a grooved up track, most likely, if the weather's good. They'll have this, you're going to be able to have the cars up to high speed. They're going to be quick. They're going to have most likely pin tires on them. The viewership there is just going to be like, I miss this. I want to do this. Like they're going to see that, and they're going to freak out. Like people were freaking out watching the Worlds on this, but when they see that, they're going to say, I forgot about this. This is amazing.
It's cool, and you're talking about that, and I the last one I can think of, and you've been to all the Worlds. Was it Finland was the last one that was outdoors?
Well, they did have the Worlds in China was outdoors.
Okay.
And that was but that was a huge track too. I mean,
That's
was like,
right.
It's almost like an 8-scale track.
Was that the one that Mayfield won?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you went to 2011, which was in Finland, that was an outdoor track. Well, and that was a natural surface. There was nothing on it. We ran the 2013 Worlds, which was in Chico at A Main's track, but they did sugar the track there. So then the 15 Worlds was on the AstroTurf when Spencer won. 17 was on the track in China where Mayfield won, but that was the big outdoor track. And then we went 19 at Hootie Arena, which was an indoor track, but kind of like they ran outdoor tires, and the track was a low traction kind of track. It was kind of a mixture of both. I was at that one, and I thought that was one of the best Worlds I've been at. Not necessarily because of the track, just the event and the building and the level of participation they had. But I almost thought we still had the wrong vehicle for the track in a sense. Like the vehicle, like everybody was kind of running the same vehicle, so it was kind of fair, but they really weren't like the perfect match to that Hootie Arena track, at least kind of like just watching. And then, of course, we skipped some because of COVID, and then we were back here on the slicks. But, I think what you're going to see when you see that one outside with the groove, providing the weather's okay, I think the viewer is going to freak out. Like, wow. Because it's been a long time since you've had a big broadcast race on an outdoor blue groove track. It's going to look completely different because you're going to be able to open the cars up. There's going to be, the power is going to be very visible. You're going to see a lot of these things that really doesn't translate inside. Like when you're in here, you're using a lot of power, but it's kind of in a different way. And and out there, I think you're gonna see it pretty dramatic, visual, I would think.
Very cool. And yeah, it's just all these world championships coming up, and for what's JConcepts kind of plan for this kind of outdoor 10 scale track? You guys haven't really been to obviously too many in a lot of years. Is there going to be some tire development, beforehand going out there, or you guys kind of know what's going on?
This is the one for the 8 scale
For
world?
the 10 scale worlds that's going to be out there.
I mean, when I talked to, some of the organizers or the track representatives were here, and I had talked with them a little bit, and they want to settle on a pin style tire. I don't know if it's going to be our tire or whose tire it's going to be.
Oh, that's right. It is. I'm sorry. It is control tire.
Yeah. But, we're not going to make anything, I wouldn't think, special, but it'll be something, if it was our tire, it'd probably be in the Sprinter rehab range, is the tire that they were telling me that they like. There's obviously other pin tires out there, but those are the two in our range that I think they were looking at. But I don't think we'd make anything special for that event, because at this point, if they use one of the ones that's available, it kind of gives everybody the same lead in, right, to using that tire to practice or build up to it. So,
what level of commitment from JConcepts does that actually have for like a controlled tire for a Worlds event? What is the process for that?
I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit here at the Worlds, because they used AKA tires here. And Larry and I had talked along with Allison, and we decided that we didn't really want to be necessarily in the running to use our tire at that event for two reasons. It was going to require a huge allotment to have at this one event. So it basically would have took our most popular tire and made it, and we would have had to basically set aside thousands of these things for that event. And then two, we had multiple high-end racers who this is their home track. So every Worlds I've ever been to, there's always that, oh, well, he knows something about the tires here that nobody else knows because it's his home track, and his tire sponsors the one that is providing the control tires, so he's at an advantage. And I'm like, you know what? It's like we'll just agree not to be a part of the control tire, because I don't, I had Spencer or Dakota or Mayfield or Brock or whoever, one of our guys had won. I wouldn't want somebody saying that about them at this track, because they were going to be fast here anyway, because they had a lot of experience on the track. So I was like, you know what, if we can keep our tire in the rotation, continue providing it to the other events. They use the AKA as the controlled tire. We were fine with that, and it kept us out of that side of it. We concentrated on the other items and the other elements that are important to us, and gave us a little break from that tire part of that event, and it worked out okay. And in the end, it worked out okay. And then for us, we still were able to concentrate on, providing the tire that we like for 10 scale off-road to other events. So, dealers, customers, whatever. So we didn't have to allocate so many to the one event. And the other thing is, there's a lot of stress that comes with that. We've dealt with it before, and Larry dealt with it here, where they kind of misfigured the four-wheel fronts. We went over all that. They didn't have enough four-wheel front tires, and then they couldn't have enough in time, and they had to kind of change the amount of tires. And I think that that's something that you stay out of. For us, it's like, oh, hey, good, I'm glad it's not us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like you blame anybody. It can happen to any of us, but you're just like, hey, at least that's not something that we have to get a black eye over on this thing.
What is your opinion? Should there be an allotted amount, for these guys, that you can only purchase 6 sets per, let's say, per car or something like that?
Well, you should. I think that you should probably be able to match the amount of. It is the Worlds, I think if you're on a budget at the Worlds, you're probably at the wrong race, to be honest. It's for the 150 best guys, and supposedly the 150 best guys in the business. If you're going to the Worlds and you're on a budget for your tires, you probably shouldn't be there. And that's fine. You could race. There's thousands of other races, right, where you don't have to race at that level for 2 weeks. If you're going to the Worlds and you're on a budget, but you're going to miss work for 2 weeks or whatever the case may be, and you're probably at the wrong event. You could probably pick something else.
Even so, play devil's advocate for it from a manufacturing standpoint, where it might be like, oh, I have to send an unlimited amount of tires up there, or I know, okay, there's 150 guys times 12.
Yeah.
And then you're like, here's your tires plus whatever if there's missing something or something like that.
You can match the number, I think.
Match the number a little bit better.
Yeah, I think what you would have is, I think you would set up so where however many qualifiers and potentially how many mains you could run, you should probably be able to have new tires for each one of those qualifiers and main events.
Gotcha.
Practice, I don't know how you want to really do the practice, whether you should have enough tires there so everybody could have brand new ones for every single practice run. I don't know if that, maybe there's something to that. But to me, if you're running the Worlds and you can't have a new set of tires on every time if you want to, I don't think that's good either, because now there's a tire game to that as well. Like they have in touring car where guys just pull off because they put on a brand new set of tires because they have a limit in touring car, and it's not limited to how many qualifiers and mains they have. It's like they have less sets than they do races. So, and it's substantially better in many times to have the new ones on. And in that racing game, there'll be drivers that put on their new set ready because that's the run they want to run good. They put their new set on, and then they have a bad first lap or they make a mistake and they'll pull off and not complete it because they say, hey, I don't want to ruin my good set of tires for a qualifier that I crashed out in because my goal is the top of the A main, not the D main or whatever the case may be. So I don't like that either, because I'm thinking, do I want Bruno Coelho to be running a qualifier at the World where you see him pull off because he wants to save his tires? It's like, no, what's the point of that? Like, hey, if you crash and you can put a new set of tires on next run too and go for it again. It's like, I don't think that makes any sense. It's like, if you're going to be at a race, especially like something, you're going to be there for 2 weeks. You're gonna have all this money in the entry fee. You're gonna have all this money in hotels, travel, the cars, the parts. What's another couple sets of tires really at the end of the day to make it right? Yeah. Especially at the highest end. When you got guys, they talk about in the World Final A mains of touring car, and you still see that where they're like, oh, well, he's got a brand new set of tires on this run and he's gonna be favored, and then it's like, you have that situation where if they have a bad main, they pull off, or whatever the case may be. To me, I don't think you have to have that strategy in it.
Yeah, I think it was one of them for the 8 scale. I think it was the wing cars that they had in Japan, and I think one of the strategy for their tire setup or something was one of the the biggest parts of the win or something like that. I don't know if you know exactly what happened, but they had mentioned something like that.
Yeah, so to me, I think you should have the same amount of tires if you want to run new ones in every qualifier and every main. Now, practice, if you want to change how the practice is done, so you don't have to have new ones every practice. I could see entertaining that type of thing. But I think by the time you're at an event of that size, of that caliber, I think limiting the best guys on the amount of equipment they can have is kind of pointless, because you're kind of unlimited racing anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, sure, if you're having a spec kind of series or something where it's like, it's more of entry level, budget level racing, and you want to limit what people can do, sure, that's fine, right? Like, that's the goal of the event, is conserving money. The idea of the Worlds isn't to conserve money. You know what I mean? Like, if you were trying to conserve money at the Worlds, you wouldn't even go. Like, that's, it's basically about going all out to try to win. That's what the Worlds is. So, if you have if there's a spec level of event, then you get into those things. Limit less tires and less this or motor cost, battery cost, whatever. Then it makes more sense to me.
Totally makes sense. Different perspective on it. I thought it was so easy to just do this, and you're like, well, you look at it a different way, and it's a very good way of looking at it. So we've talked about events, we've talked about tires, talked about worlds. Now, there's some new cars coming out that we've seen. We saw Mugen just drop their two-wheel drive. I know Schumacher has been making a huge push.
Yeah.
I would say I call it 3 different tiers. There was always the AE, the TLR, and then the Kyosho tier. And then Kyosho kind of dropped out a bit. It's seemingly that TLR seems to be dropping back a little bit. I love my Horizon guys, but they have not had a new vehicle in a very long time, especially on the two-wheel drive realm. It looks like Schumacher has been, putting in a lot of time. They got Brock, they've got Cavalieri now. They've got a lot of fast guys that they've been, so I'm almost saying that they're, maybe 3rd tier right now, trying to kind of vie for the TLR spot where, they were, before they were, definitely on the, the turf and carpet side. And then another one would be X-Ray too. X-Ray's always been there, but I think a price point has always been kind of for some people, or ease of getting product. I think that might go for Schumacher as well, but as hobby shops bring them in. So there's a lot of new cars coming out. What are your thoughts on some of these other companies and the vehicles that they're making?
If I just kind of look at things from a distance, to me, Team Associated's business and their niche, if you can carve out a niche in this, is a two-wheel buggy. They have the RC10. That is the iconic vehicle of 10-scale off-road racing. It is the RC10. So for them to have the most dominant two-wheel car, or the most popular one, is kind of important to them. It's kind of like, like the Ford F-Series pickup, the best-selling pickup in the world, right? Like, to them, it's important we have to have a great F-150. Like, this is our thing, And I think for them, for Associated, it's important for them to have a good two-wheel buggy. They can deal with people saying, maybe we don't like your 8-scale that much, or maybe we don't like your 4-wheel that much, but we don't like when you say you don't like our two-wheel, right? Like, to them, that's important. That's like personal, right? Like the Jordan video, this is personal. You don't like our two-wheel. And that's how I think they have to approach it, this is personal. We want everybody to think we have the best two-wheel, and it is. I think it is important. So I think what so everybody out there, I think, is trying to take a shot at that particular vehicle because it has that reputation, whether it's true or not. Obviously, we've seen Dakota win everything with his TLR. Obviously a great car. But I think people still, if you have to corner them and you have to say what two-wheel you're going to run, they'll be like, I think I'm going to get the Associated. Like, it's that one that they just, they kind of
default.
They like it, right? They're like, you know what? They'll always come up with a reason why they choose it or they like it. So it's important. That class is important, but like you said, TLR, proven they can win. Schumacher's been around this game as long as everybody. They've been in the business. Associates celebrating that 40th anniversary or whatever of the RC10, and I mean, Schumacher's got to be right there close. They got to be close in the same time range of two-wheel drive buggies, and I think that. To me, I had a Schumacher when I started in racing, and the Cougar 2, I think, is what it was. And all I know is when I ran that car, it worked well, and I won races with it, and everybody thought it was great, but I wanted to have an Associated car. That's what I remember, is I just remember thinking that I wanted to be an Associated driver. I wanted to be the Cliff Lett, the Brian Kinwall, the Mark Davidas. To me, it was just like, hey, I know that this car is good, but I really like what this car means to them. I really like the idea that there's something great about the Associated team, especially in two-wheel drive and that buggy, and it meant something to me even when I didn't really know anything. So I think that for Schumacher, I think they have some of the same characteristics of associated, where they have a lot of history in this business, and they have some of the things have always been in place for them, but they've never really had the talent of driver that the Associateds and Losi, for that matter, that driving racing ability has never been their strength over the years. They've always made good equipment. They've had good ideas. I think Cecil Schumacher invented, or was the first to introduce many things into 10 scale off-road, whereas a lot of people don't know that because of...
I think they invented the ball diff?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's other things. There's, the way they do their steering, and the way they've had, bearings in the hub, the front steering blocks. There's all these different things that they've kind of had over the years that, they had lay down shocks on a car in the front. They had a cantilever mechanism in the front end and the front shocks inboard, and they've tried all these. They've had bearings and rear drive shafts. They've had belt drive transmissions. They've had, they've had all kinds of different things over the years, but they've never really gotten the same amount of, credit for some of these things that they did do, because they never had that Masami. They never had the Jay Halsey, the Cliff Lett, these guys that are just absolute, well, they're the legendary drivers, right? There's legendary cars and then legendary drivers. So they never had really that guy. And they've had good ones, really good ones, but never like that. So, but now I think that they kind of spent some time not sure exactly what the direction that they needed to have with these two-wheel buggies. Are we making it for dirt? We're going back to that. Are we making it for dirt? Are we making it for AstroTurf? Are we making it for carpet? And they've kind of made a lot of different platform changes. Now we're going back to the 90s. They had all kinds of things they're throwing at the wall. Because Schumacher's had all these two wheels all the way along. Ever since this, sometime, after the RC10, they've had a car too. And they've had different generations, Cougar 1, 2, 2000. I remember there was a Cougar 2000. There was all these different ones. They're moving the motor all around. There's different A-arm links, and they've had everything. They've had way more platforms than Associated's had. If you put all their cars probably out, they've had way more than anybody else. So, but they've never really been able to prove necessarily any one of these layouts or configurations is better than the other. So it feels like until we really started zeroing in on the tracks being a little more high traction. So when these tracks got to a little more high traction across the board, I feel like that kind of helped them in a sense, because now they're like, okay, now we can tune to something. We can say, hey, this is the platform model we kind of want to use. We know this is the condition, not only in Europe or the UK, but now this is becoming a popular thing in America. And I think that the sort of the stabilization of the surface we're racing on has made a huge difference for them, because it's been able allow them to kind of say, all right, let's take this, and now this is something we can race with in America, in Europe, whatever. And then on top of that, they got their guy, right? They got their Mikhail Orlowski. They got their guy. He's kind of their Bruno. He's kind of their Spencer Rivkin, whatever. He's finally a guy that can race at the level of those guys with equipment that is being refined on a level that's capable in these conditions that we're seeing in more areas. And I think, like you said, I think they do have the product now. They have trucks. Before they used to make a truck, and like everybody, they would just put truck wheels and a body on a buggy, basically. That was in the 90s. That's what I had. And But today they make the purpose-built truck like everybody else. So if you want a 2-wheel, 4-wheel, or a stadium truck, they have it. Like you said, I think that's they have a big opportunity to be a number 2 in this area or in America if they continue to refine that platform to where you say, wow, these guys are just as good at 2-wheel and 4-wheel as Associated and Losi. And I think that's what has kind of lacked over the years, is I think the general customer just doesn't quite believe like they do in some of these others. So I think if you, with all this happening and these refinements, you got the driver now. Now you can kind of prove some of your concepts, right? Before, it didn't matter what you put. If I'm racing Masami, it doesn't matter what you give me and he still wins. You're going to say, hey, my concept was dumb because
I didn't win.
And Masami, ends up winning. So that's essentially what could happen in the old days.
Yeah.
Today, you have to have that Masami and you have to have the right equipment. But so yeah, I see them as a threat in that number 2. But there's a couple things that still have to come together for them. TLR, like you said, we all have great buddies at Horizon. They spend a great deal of time on that dirt bike project, kind of put them behind on the racing side, we'll say. But guys like Todd Hodge, guys like Frank Root and Thomas, obviously, guy that I'm close with, they like this. They like racing. That's where they all kind of got the bug for the RC, was through this. And I think that they have the driver, they have Dakota, they have the world champ and Tater. But really, what you have is Dakota's the guy that's kind of your consistent factor. He's doing it in all these classes. He's doing it across the board. He's never ran a different vehicle ever. Like he's only ran a TLR or a Losi car, which is huge in today's game. There's nobody else out there, I don't think. Maybe Spencer, but he started with a Mugen 8 scale. But
I don't know if anybody's been as long as Dakota for a sponsor.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably done it for at least 20 years. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
So he's been running that stuff. So they have the driver. Now, for them, they have to connect the latest, greatest to that driver. The shame about the Worlds is it's the biggest win they've probably had in 20 years, but they don't really have the vehicle to back it up. If they had the new car, the updated platform, that'd have been the perfect timing, right? Tater wins the Worlds, Schimmel, Dakota, they all looked fantastic at the Worlds in 2-wheel. It'd have been great, but they didn't have it. Now the kind of buzz kind of wears off, right? Today's day, it lasts like 2 or 3 weeks, the buzz. So now you kind of start from scratch again with your buzz, and you got to get that. Obviously, there's going to be a car at some point. They're still sending racers and drivers, and they have team managers for a reason. They're going to stay in the game, and they got to get one out. They have the number 2 spot, right? They have, that's there for them, right?
Yes.
It's like if they exist and they're into it and they want to be decent at it, they have the number 2 spot handed to them. They want the number 1 spot, right? For 2-wheel buggy, we'll say. I think we're talking about sales too.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's pretty fair to say the Associated 2-wheel is the best-selling 2-wheel. I don't know the numbers, but that when you go to these races and you go to these tracks, it's kind of easy to see. It's got to be the number 1 seller. So they want that number 1 selling vehicle. But you got the driver, now you got to deliver the car to that people want. If you don't have the obviously, as we see, if you don't have the tire you want, if you don't have the puck system that they want,
you don't have the product, they ain't gonna buy it. Yeah, it's gonna be gone.
They're your buddy, man. When that stuff's hot, your phone's blowing up, your emails are blowing up. I gotta have it, and it's kind of annoying, but at the same time, it's a great indicator that, hey, at least the stuff is working, right?
Yeah.
People want it. When you're not getting anything, it's kind of like, all right, well, what?
You mentioned that, and just like production side and the puck system stuff and everything, but when we do stuff, we always look at Associated. It's like 10 to 1, you
Yeah.
know, as far as between that and TLR, because it's just, they're just everywhere. Look at the pits that are here. There's, you know, almost 2 rows of AE from what I can see.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, I'm just being real, there's 4 guys from what I saw for TLR. And,
Yeah.
you know, I love those guys. I've driven I think it was the 3.0 at the time. And it was amazing. It
Yeah.
generated a ton of traction. I'm like, this thing's way better than my B6. Like, I love the B6. The .1 I didn't like. I think since then they've moved over. Once it was with that new ARM situation they had, but you know, the newer version of the AE car is amazing. I didn't like the .1 for some reason, but the B6 was amazing. I drove the TLR. It was amazing. It drove well. But I think it's like the quick change rear diff. It's the ease of working on it. It's the parts availability, and not having to go out and fixate other arms and stuff on the vehicle to try and do things. You know, it's something that's already has a package there.
Well, what it does is it eliminates excuses.
Yeah.
So what I've found in this is drivers, you can kind of pick your brand, right? Which one you like, and you can get beat, and it's like you can kind of justify it because you're still supporting the brand you like. But once you start doing a lot of work to keep yours up to speed with the guy that you're perceiving doesn't have to do as much work, and you're still getting beat, then that's when they say, you know what, they're just too far behind. That's what people say. Whether that's true or not, that's the reality. So I think that's the position they're in. It's not that it can't perform, win the worlds, and do all these things, magical things that Dakota's won. I mean, he's had to win like 90% of the races the past couple years, but they want that fresh one. You know what I mean? You like that new car, the new car smell. That's the deal.
It's one of those things where, like, you know, the aftermarket game. I think we talked about it, and with Associated, and I think X-Ray's even worse with it, where there's like, you know, X-Ray's coming out with the car. It's a 24. It's a 25. You know, it's always the XB something. And same thing with the .1, .2. Everybody's always looking for that next one.
Yeah. So I had a long conversation with Spencer about that this morning, actually, when we were kind of waiting for them to open here. But we'll talk about X-Ray first, because that's one of the other ones in the running, right? Like, they have a great, what you hear about them all the time, they have great quality, you know,
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you hand me that water right there?
They have great quality, the parts and this and that, and people love it because of those things. And then they kind of have this model of they release an updated one every year. So there's a updated version every year, which people have become accustomed to. You know, there's a 2023, then there's a 2024. It's kind of like the real life.
Like
how you buy a real car.
Buy a car.
Yeah, so it's like I got the 2020 Raptor, right? And then it's like, oh, well, the 2023 is out. You know what I mean? Like, there's a year model. You expect there to be changes, and I think people now they kind of know that from X-Ray. So X-Ray says, we're going to sell X amount of cars in 1 year no matter what we do. And what they just plan on is we're going to have next year's model, and we want those people to buy next year's model kind of automatically.
Like a subscription.
Yeah, and it really is. And Associated's model is essentially, well, we're kind of like secretive on when we're going to release that new model.
2 weeks.
Even though you know there's going to be a new one, you just don't know when. With X-Ray, you know there's going to be a new one, and you kind of know when it's going to happen. With Associated, they kind of hold that card on you, where they say, hey, you know what, there is going to be a new one, I'm just not going to tell you when it's going to be. So that's kind of the difference between the two of them. And but with X-Ray, you know, they just made a new car, and something about their vehicles, I don't know if it's just something that I pick up on, is it's always kind of, I don't know if it's the way they always design their parts or the look But I always have a hard, same with Mugen, is I always have a hard time just glancing at them, noticing the difference between one versus another. Like when there's like a 2021, a 2020, like when I look at them, I'm like, especially with Mugen 8 scales, I'm like, this thing doesn't look any different than your MBX7. You know, like to me, like Ryan, I'm like, when he was running Mugen, I'm like,
what's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference? You know, and there is a bunch of differences, but
well, shock towers moved a little bit, and the arm's a little bit longer, different little hub.
Yeah. So, and I look at all the details, like how the arm is made, like you know how they decided to where they put the webbing, and how the, you know, are they have a chamfer finish on the edges? Is it a radius finish? Is it a sandblast look? Is it a polished look? And I'm looking at all that stuff, and so, but. Those cars are similar, but it looks like this time around with X-Ray, they've made more changes to their two-wheel than they typically do, and it's a little B6-ish. You know what I mean? Like the front, you know, is kind of redesigned to be. It looks more like a B6 to me. Like the shocks are on the other side of the tower, like a B6. They essentially. They kind of made their own version of our F2 body. They made their own version of our P2 body. So it's kind of like their update to their car this time around. It's like a B6 with our body. That's kind of like, you know what I mean? That's what they've almost kind of updated their car to. Now, granted, there could be, you know, 1,000 other options. But just from me looking at it, that's kind of my take, is they said, hey, this is the most popular car. Does it work good? Okay, we think it works good. All right, let's make some generational changes. It's got the bigger shocks, you know, so it's like, so they're like, hey, let's take a look at the top associated car, and they're like, okay, so we're gonna make it some changes like this, and then we're gonna put a JConcepts style body on it. Like that, to me, that's what it looks like.
Got it.
But
and speaking of X-Ray and you know, going with that, and they made these changes, there was a huge mix-up. Ty isn't going to be with us, you know, or with us, but on X-Ray next year, what do you think his future plans are? It's kind of still up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I see with that is it's a very big and expensive program to have Ty Tessman and his dad and his mom. It's kind of like a family thing, right? And I think when he was younger, it was easier because, you know, if you're 12 to 15 years old, you kind of need a little more help, you know, with your racing, your pit crew, your pit people. And that's where the family really came in. The dad helped them wrench. The dad kind of helped them. They kind of had, to me, they kind of had the program worked out a little before everybody else, and they had it for Ty at a young age for him, and that was due to, I think, a lot to his dad. Was, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. That means this, this, and this, and then we're not going to skip steps. The 110%, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff, I think, is what their program was about. But as you get older, and now I don't know the financial side of it, but in my experience, having two people that you're supporting, not only to attend the events, you got double the expenses there. You got, of course, the drivers always ask for a better salary. I'm sure the team managers ask for a better salary. So now, and then, you know, the mom is an element too. I wouldn't think she's a paid part, but I think there's a lot of work on her end. Like, I think she was probably, and again, I'm just guessing, but if I had to guess, a mom's work is never done, because it's like they're the ones that have to do all the stuff that the other people don't want to do, right? It's like, hey, will you email so-and-so for me, or will you go get us food, or will you do this? And they're like doing all this stuff that you're trying to like wrench, race, turn marshal, wrench, and you're like just, and then you have to have that other piece to the program. So that's a big, so for them, it's almost like three people. When they were at their peak in RC, it was a 3-person program. That's expensive, right?
Very.
That's a very expensive program. And then as you get older, you know, if a driver's into their 20s or getting into their 30s, pretty soon they have family, right? You know, if Ty's married, or they want to have a family, you know, like our guys, like Mayfield and Obviously, we got Tebow. He's a big
Cavallari.
They all
kids.
have families now. So you have, and when Cavallari was younger, his dad used to do all the travel with him, right? So you had Cavallari, his dad. That was a team, and that was an expensive team too. So, but it got to the point where now, in Cavallari later in his career, he has a family, but it's not in the budget to them really to send his whole family there to help his race. So I think, to make a long story short, I think the decision has to be, well, with Ty, can he do it without the family? Because obviously the budget isn't there to support that program without going too far. Maybe they'd have to, sure, maybe if you had to move and dedicate a whole different thing to a manufacturer, or maybe you could get that big of a deal. But now he might have to figure out a way, if he wants to continue to race as a career, he has to figure out how to do it by himself. Can he go? Is there a team, another member of the team that can help him pit, can help him get on the track besides his dad? Because his dad might not be getting paid to be there, or whatever the case may be. He has to do something else. It's completely changes everything for him. So I think he's got the skills and the talent. Obviously, he won the Visions this year, the Vision race there in Oklahoma. He was the big winner. I think he won was it $7,000 or $8,000 there when we were there. He's obviously can get it done against the best guys that were there, but it just seems like the rest of it's doesn't seem like it's there. To me, X-Ray they're kind of like, maybe they were weighing the costs, and they're like, wow, to have this big team, they need to dominate, right? They need to win everything to justify this cost. And you can't do that today. You can't just sweep every nitro race. You can't just sweep every 10-scale race. You're going to have hits and misses. But you really do need to be on the podium quite often at that level. So I think that he's going to have to find something that's really just him. It doesn't have the family as connected. He might have to travel by himself, take all of his equipment there, rely on other teammates and other people to help pit him if he wants to continue in the business, similar to how, that's how Ryan really has done it. He probably spent his best driving years with zero mechanic. I mean, now he's got Mike Trudy that helps him. But he probably spent his most talented driving years without a mechanic. Like, he was like, I'll find a pit guy. If Adam Drake doesn't make the main, he can help me. If so-and-so doesn't, if Tanner Denny doesn't make the main, I can get Chris to help pit. Well, if then he makes, that was how that's how Ryan's pit was. It was like, he could be somebody different every single time. Brent, when he's on Associated, it's like, well, maybe Brent will pit him. Well, but Cavallari's on the team. The Cavallari qualify higher. Maybe Brent's going to pit Cavallari, so then Richard will pit Mayfield. It's like, he didn't have a pit guy. It was just like, who was there that maybe could get the job done. And, now his little bit of stability, he's older, and now he has that a little bit of stability, which has been rare for him. But for Ty, he almost has to do it in reverse. He might have to come in with just him and his radio and his equipment and be like, all right, who's here today that can pit me and get the job done? And they put the headset on, right? That, if you want to continue to race, that might be what he has to do.
Man, so it's could you think of any good companies that'd be a good fit with him? I was thinking kind of Mugen. I know him and Adam are decently close.
Yep.
And speaking of their new 10-scale program too, they got that new 2-wheel drive coming out. So it might kind of be a good fix. I don't know really who, at least here in America, on the Mugen side, we got Adam, a very talented, great ambassador for the hobby. But like you said, like that one guy, at least it's always going to be on the podium at these bigger events. For Mugen, I don't see it right now.
Yeah, I think basically Adam, you got Adam in the United States holding it down, and then the young racer there from California,
Frankie.
Yeah, they got him on the team. He's been doing a great job along with Adam. Frankie's been fast, but not really quite ready to travel to all these events either, you know. And Adam's at a different part of his career where he's more of a, you know, he is, of course, probably always going to be a racer, but there's a difference between going to these races and being favored to win the Worlds, the Nationals, as opposed to going there and being a good support or an ambassador for the brand, being able to race well and make it look good, but you're not really expected to win. And I think he's in a position where he's not really necessarily expected to win the Nationals or the Worlds, but he goes there to represent the brand well, and he does his damage on the local scene, the events he travels to and does clinics, and he has built his name as a great, you know, basically a teacher.
He's very, very good. Probably one of the best I've ever seen, you know, for the hobby.
Yeah, I think.
General.
I think what it is you kind of get it at a certain part, and he kind of gets it. He's figured out some things for himself, which is very good. But I think for Mugen, he would be kind of a cool fit at Mugen. It is similar to the way Mayfield was, because you could get some help from Adam, you could get some help from others. He is a guy that could run your two-wheel buggy. He could do a good job there. Obviously, it's just probably a matter of time before they have a four-wheel. Then you kind of have the complete set. You know, you have the 5 vehicles. You have the 5 vehicles then to choose from to go racing. But, you know, I think my personal, I think like the 8-scale or the Mugen 8-scale buggy to me is like that's like their piece. You know, that's like the associated two-wheel. You know, what the associated two-wheel means to Associated is what the buggy, 8-scale buggy means to Mugen, which is, you know, kind of everything. And I think that would be a good place for anybody to run an 8-scale is with Mugen. But are they willing to? I don't know them as well as, you know, obviously I know Chris and Adam and all these guys, but I don't know the business on their side as well as some of the others. But I think, are they prepared to go all out in that fashion where you have a guy that races 5 classes and has to be at 20 events a year? So you have to pay somebody's travel for 20 events a year for 5 different classes, and then you have their salary on top of that. They've never really done that before. So is that worked out? You know, do they have that worked out? That's something that some of the others are accustomed to now, but they've only done really 8-scale. So I think that car-wise and maybe the friendship with Adam, that's probably the best fit for personality. But maybe I'm a little unsure about their willingness to go all in with 5 vehicles at that many events a year for one driver. That's the only thing not to say that they couldn't do it or they won't do it, but that would be the only thing I would say I'm not 100% convinced of, I guess. Other than that, it gets to be very difficult to find a hole to kind of fill in, to put him, because you're going to want to be a top guy wherever you want to go. You know, S-Works has a lot of drivers. You know, Associated's kind of full. They have the world champ in 8-scale. You're kind of maxed out there. TLR has the driver. They have the support group behind that. I don't know that they're ready to do something like that for another driver. Kyosho, they got Brian Lutz, Felong, that kind of like almost probably guarantees it's not that brand. Mm-hmm. HB seems to have the car everybody wants, but the team is not necessarily the one that everybody wants, because that's been sort of an issue below the surface. Is the team hasn't been delivering on what they're promising to some drivers. So I think there's no question that people love that car. Like, I've heard
driven
these,
one.
It's
amazing.
I've heard these guys enough. I've heard these guys in the pits enough to know when they say magic car, that's one that comes up quite a bit. It's no surprise that people love the car, but the team side of it and affording all these drivers and whatever they're expecting, that hasn't, I guess, been the strength. But I don't see that working out.
I've been hearing that too.
I don't see that working out.
But other than that, we've got S-Works. I think they're pretty full. I know they got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Somebody had mentioned the idea of Complete, and I didn't even think about it, was Serpent.
Yeah. I don't really know what's going on with Serpent, honestly. I mean, to me, their peak was when Billy raced and he did the designing, and Paul Ciccarello was with Billy. That was kind of the peak of their 2-wheel, 4-wheel, 8-scale program.
Hornhorse was with them too then.
Yeah.
He did well with their 8-scale platform.
They had a good little thing going, and I just don't see... I think they've been kind of squeezed out a little bit is what I see. They're just, on this level, they're not really prepared to commit 100% to maybe somebody. And on that level, and maybe... the rest of the program doesn't. I just don't see it. I mean, if it was in that era with Billy and Paul and everybody that was really pushing hard, dropping him in would have been amazing. But now you're kind of dropping in with nothing else there. I mean, Billy's not really even running right now. So that's the only other company that I associated. Obviously, they're full. Yeah.
We've got, what other manufacturer? And obviously, it's not X-Ray.
Well, there's that Sparco.
Sparco?
Yeah, I've seen some of those cars popping up, and I'm sure if they have the money, they could probably figure something out with Ty. But now you're talking about, the way Ty is brought up into RC with his dad and their program. They're going to be pretty hard on the manufacturer when it comes to the performance, the quality, the build, the settings, the ability to have response to change, right? So they've had all that. They've had that at their disposal over the years, whether it was with HB, Proline, X-Ray. They've always been one of probably one of the racers that have gotten the best response from their sponsors, ask for getting what they want.
Yeah.
So are you going to get that with a Sparco or something like that? If they did, maybe that's good, but he would have to run the car, I would imagine, and say, do I really like this? Am I really ready to go down this road?
I think they just got Tyler Jones. I think he just went over there. I don't know if it's been announced yet. I won't say anything, but I know a racer out on the West Coast here, a pretty prominent one, is going to be going to them.
That's the one the dad's the world champion?
Yeah, that one. Won't say who it is. I don't know if he's said anything, but maybe. Mayako, I don't think they're going to go to that one, just for probably personal reasons. Relationship-wise, it's
tough. I mean, everybody. The part that cracks me up is when you read people commenting online, like they think these drivers could go anywhere. They think it's up to the driver, right? They're always like, oh well, I think he's going to sign with so and so, or I think he's going to sign with so and so, and it's just like, well, you're assuming that they can do all this and they want to do all this. Not everybody's in the position to just, hand out these, in this business, what would be a mega travel, a mega product, a mega salary deal.
And we were talking about that. We have a little Facebook group, and my buddy Lee Gravel was saying something about it. And we were going through just how much is it to do this? And I know a little bit of how much it costs. I've traveled for MIP, obviously traveled for this, and it's just myself and doing it kind of on the business side of it. We don't really make any money as it is. And for these guys to make money as well as travel, I was like, well, they're probably around the 50 to 70 range for as far as salary. And then you're going to have expenses on top, which is probably another 50 or 60.
Yep.
And then you have contingency, which is probably another 50, you know, that you might guarantee.
Yeah, that's if you have a good year or something
If you
like
have
that.
a good year. So you're potentially looking at 150 grand.
And then you didn't count the product yet either, right?
Yeah, I did not even count the product. So 50 grand in product or whatever it may be.
Yep.
So you're looking at sub $200,000
Yeah.
for this person. And, you know, does this move the needle, you know, and then above that, right? Does this move the needle $600,000?
Yep.
And that's on the conservative side,
Yep.
you know, multiplying it by 3, that you have to make some money on this, you know, to pay for this person,
Yep.
you know, or let's make it easy, $500,000, you know, to say, this guy made me $500,000 to say, oh, okay, well, let's re-sign his contract next year. It's a lot.
It is, yeah, and I think that's what is going to end up happening here is you kind of come into that that time where they have to decide because they kind of have to go all in. You have to go all in for something like that, and are they willing to go all in, like a Sparko or whatever? Are they willing to go all that far in on the driver? So I think that. Yeah, I guess the other thing you have to consider is you could retire. You know, you could say, you know what, I've done my time in this. I've decided that I've done everything I can do. I've done it with my family. I've done it my way. And this is it. I don't need to do this anymore. I'm going to do something else. I mean, that's a possibility.
And it's also, you know, like you said, it's a huge toll. Like, not a lot of people do this or know, but, you know, you start thinking about it, you're like, man, it'd be awesome to be a paid RC driver. But these guys aren't like, in other words, they're not making like NFL player
You
money,
can't retire.
or you can't retire on this.
No.
You know,
You retire from like Masami. He's like the perfect example. Like he's the most successful world champion of all time, and with the amount of titles, but he's not retired. You know what I mean? Like he's
still working at Yokomo.
He's about 50 years old, or maybe, yeah, I think he's about 50. He's not retired, and because this isn't a sport activity hobby that you get paid millions of dollars to perform in, and then you can save enough to retire and live off of. You're just, you know, this is basically a hobby that you get paid a good salary at the very highest level, but there's only about 10 of those positions available. And so my thing is, you know, despite whatever I tried to do as a racer or felt like I was trying to do, this really isn't, driving isn't really a career. It's only, people only think it's a career because there's a handful of guys that have made that happen. But there's far more professional NBA players and far more professional NFL players and all this than there is of RC racers. And on top of that, in this, you make a good salary as one of the best in the world, but you can't retire off of it. It's enough to do it while you're doing it. And sure, if you're a little fortunate, you could probably figure out a way to have a good amount of that money at some point in your life still, but you're not making it like an NBA player or an NFL player or whatever, or a real race car driver. I'm sorry, not real, one-to-one scale.
We understand.
Where you can just say, you know what, I'm going to retire and I'm going to go buy my big house in the country and I'm just going to do whatever I want. And yeah, it doesn't really work like that. And so yeah, the most successful guy out there, Masami, he's still working, even though Yokomo got bought, you know, many years ago. It got Tom Yokobori sold it, and Masami no longer worked at Yokomo after that, so he had to find another job and different opportunities. And really, his best skill was with the people and having a great reputation and being this winning machine, right? That was his thing, and so he almost probably had to reinvent himself a little bit to say, oh, maybe I won't be at Yokomo forever. They sold, and now I had to find another job. And he's still in RC, and it looks like he's finding a way to make it work. But he's not the RC juggernaut anymore as a racer. So you're kind of like you're like an everyday kind of guy, you know, like that, but with all these older accolades. So it's interesting because that's what you're faced with in this as a, if you retire, is that it's not like you just sail off into the sunset. Like, you know, like now it's the real work kind of starts.
Time to buy the yacht.
I mean, before you thought maybe your biggest thing was, you know, that your car didn't work that day, supposedly, you know, and you were really upset and you thought it sucked. But now you have a little more of a real world situation where you have to decide if what you're doing for work and your activity is, are you happy with it? You know?
Yeah.
And so I think that unless he wanted to just jump in with a manufacturer and kind of reinvent himself in the RC business to some extent, which he has the experience, the knowledge to be involved in something for sure. He could be one of the rare guys, like a Matt Francis, who just said after a certain race, "This is my last race. I'm gonna go do something else." And it probably, I've only talked to Matt a couple times since he was retired in RC, but I wouldn't be surprised if he said it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I don't know this for a fact. I'm just assuming because he has been successful outside of RC racing.
I think he's into real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he does pretty well.
Yeah.
But I would imagine he said, I probably got everything I could out of RC. I was a world champion. I did this and I did that. I traveled with both of the best teams in the golden age of RC. How am I going to beat that? He retired. Obviously, he's a good people person.
Yep.
Got into real estate. Probably not struggling. Has some kids. Got the family. And he's still got the great RC memories. He's still got the world titles and the wins, and he doesn't have to go through the agony of not being good, which is tough, you know. Because at some point, the agony of not being good at what you're good at is horrible.
Yeah.
When, you know, if you're one of these super talented professional athletes, the worst thing for anybody, I think, is when you're no longer good at what you have been known to be good at. And I think that that's really painful. And I think that sometimes it might not be a bad idea to just say, you know what, I'm going to get into real estate, or I'm going to get into one of these other things. I've been a world champion. I've been a national champion. I've done all these different things. I don't want to take this to a point where I hate that I'm driving my car because I'm no longer a champion. And just because I can make a few $1,000 a month, like that's not probably why to stick it out. You know, find something else that you're good at or you can contribute, get a good salary doing it, improve, and have the family, have the kids, and do your thing. The Matt Francis way.
The
right?
Matt Francis way. Wow, that's a really good way to look at it. And yeah, finish out on top and think about that with the painfulness of it. And I think everybody does go through it. You know, I realized very early on that I'm like, you know what, my skill's not going to be in the driving side of it. It's going to be in hopefully another side on the manufacturing, or you know, this side of it, you know, to make a difference and to help this hobby grow, because it is a great hobby. You know, for hobby or sport, however everybody wants to look at it. Ton of fun. And I don't think when we go to these events, you know, and it is very competitive atmosphere, what have you, but I think some of the funnest part of it is being in the pits and meeting the people from all walks of life from around the world and the country.
Yep.
You know, and I think I get more out of that than I did out of driving. It's fun to drive. It's fun to win. You know, I really enjoy that. But I think the ride and the, you know, enjoying and seeing different places and, you know, problem solving and, you know, the competition, meeting all sorts of people. I think that's kind of the beauty of what this hobby is.
Well, there are different aspects to it that you can take pleasure in. And besides just racing for yourself personally, which is what I think you kind of get into this because you like the cars. Then you realize you can race them, and then the racing is fun. Then you kind of go through these steps of, well, I want to be better. And then you try to get better. And then you go through this, all right, now I've had a little taste of success. And then it's like, all right, well, how much success can I have? And then pretty soon, you know, you're chasing sponsors and you're chasing, you know, what can somebody do for me and what can somebody do for you. And now you've just completely got way off track. You got in it because you like the cars, you like the track, you like the racing. It was fun. It felt good. You were with your buddies. But you got to the point where the results started to really dictate if you had a good time or not. The deals you get, your sponsorship levels start to dictate how you're feeling about it, which is really, it's a natural to happen in this and probably everything, but it also starts to kind of ruin it for you in sort of a weird way. And
you make your hobby your job.
well, what happens is when you start having that success, now it starts to become a selfish, like, kind of thing. Well, how much success can I have? And then once you start having, you know, I'm kind of saying this from my own experience, really, is now it's, all right, so if I'm going to go race this weekend in Tampa or whatever, I want to win both classes. Then, you know, then it's like, oh, I'm starting to win both classes. I like this. You know, you're into your equipment. And it's not even this day. You know, we're talking about before the sponsorship thing was where it is today. But, you know, back then it got to the point where it's like, if I don't TQ by 5 seconds, I'm going to be kind of pissed. And, you know, and then it's like you go and you're just like, yeah, I still TQ'd, but it was only by like a second. And I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of pissed. And then the main is just, you know, you run the mains and you're not super happy with. You win, but it's like, I wasn't super happy. And then, you know, the judging aspect of it, of yourself and your expectations becomes so, you know, so narrowed that it's hard to really have this great time because, you know, you might be in the pits and you might still be having a good time with your buddies, and, you know, you can hear so-and-so's, you know, I can hear all this in my memory. Like, this is like how it went for me. Like, you know, it's like you can, you know, you're in competition with your people that you're friendly with. They're pitting away, but you can hear them preparing. You can hear the music that they like to listen to. You can see they're preparing for the main and you're preparing for the main, and you can feel these things kind of happening. And but you're still like, I want to win. Like, I want to win. And you go down that road, and then when you can satisfy your need for this winning, but that's all now it's like, that's what your whole basis is of
Your whole experience is off number one, and there's only one spot.
Yeah, it's like, did I have fun that weekend? Well, I don't know. You know, did I win both classes? You know what I mean? Like, to me, was fun. Like, it got to the point where fun is winning. Yeah. And I think a lot of people get to that, where the winning really, really matters that much. You know, this is before you get paid to do it. This is just, you're trying to be an expert or a ground level pro. And so you start to see it at that level where really nothing's good enough. You know, a win is not good enough because it needed to be by more, or TQ, it needed to be by more, or, you know, we used to stay after. You'd TQ and win both classes, we'd race. We'd be right back out on the track right when the main was over, because we're the last race, trying something else. We weren't happy. You know, you're like, I ran these front tires, and I don't know, I should have maybe ran these fronts. And you go back out there and you're checking the lap times. And you're like, probably next time around, next race, I'll probably run these in the main. I'll be a little faster. I mean, that's like the level of Then you get to the point where you're videoing everything. We used to video everything. We'd go back and watch the video. We run club races and we're like analyzing the video. We're like, yeah, the track was different. I should have did something else. And you might still be doing good, but you're just like, you're so overly obsessed with this thing that you're at that level of, you've really got way away from why you started in the first place. You're way far away from where you are.
It's hard to pull you out of that too, and almost at the base of it is that, because I know I'm running Sammy's truck, and I had where I got taken out, and I'm steaming afterwards because I'm like, come on, and and you're mad or whatever, and then you're like, you sit down for a second, you're like, well, I did have a good time, or I'll learn next time, and and it's one of those things where you at the base of it, everybody wants to win, everybody wants to be successful, but there's a beauty to this hobby, of being able to do this, and it is a privilege, and a lot of us, it's a godsend to be able to be here and hang out with your friends.
Yeah, I think you have to realize at some point what your capability really is, and if your capability is to be a world champion, then you can shoot for it. But if you're seeing that, and I'm not really that close, I've been doing this for quite a while, your capability isn't going to be a world champion. Especially if you're older in age, it's just not going to happen. You've seen Tater, 16 years old, he peaked at the Worlds and ended up winning. It's like he's 16, you know what I mean? He's probably been doing this.
Ripken won at what, 15?
Yeah, he was 15 or 16, and and we're talking about guys like Tater. He's probably been driving since he was 5, just like Dakota. He's driving since he was 5. So, you kind of have to set something as a goal. That's something that can make you happy with. You have to set a goal that really is probably makes you pleased. It's like, look, I ran a decent qualifier. I did kind of what I thought I could do. I was, a little, maybe I made a mistake or, one or two too many. And you know what? I'm going to have to live with that. That's fun for me now. Or that's what I'm capable of. And you have to say I had a good time. I enjoyed being there with my friends. I got out of it what I thought I could get. What my capability level was, and you have to be kind of happy with it. And a lot of people need to probably learn that. It's easy to say, like in the chat here, have fun, don't worry about winning, but until you start winning. When you start winning, now that's the expectation.
Yeah.
And for me, that in my racing, that was the expectation. I didn't go anywhere when I was traveling, whether it was Florida or Georgia or Alabama, or to me, that was the expectation. Every time I'm like, how am I going to TQ and how am I going to win? That's the number one thing. And if I can accomplish those things, I'll be happy. If not, I'm going to be in agony until the next race. That's just how it works,
When you're at that level and that competitive,
and I'm not a Mayfield. I'm not that talented. He's the world champion. He's the 31-time national champion. Dakota's a 40-time national champion. I was just, a high-end, lower pro with a great regional driver. And that was my mindset. I don't care where I travel around here in this general area. If I don't TQ and win, I'm going to be pissed. And that's the mindset. So now when you're
you almost have to have that mindset too when you are at that level to be successful to win. Where you're like, I'm going to go out here and kill it.
Yeah. But the point that he's making about having fun, it is fun. But what ends up happening is once you start winning and people start to treat you as a winner, you really set that as the standard. Is, hey, it doesn't matter where I go or where I travel to, people expect, and I expect to be a winner here, and that's what I want to do. And so that's the chase. Right now, that's the challenge, and it's really hard to unwind from that and just kind of be a normal dude out there that's kind of sucks. Like,
Yeah.
and I go through that when I race now. I'm just like, I suck at this. Like, I'll have like some good laps. I'll have some good races here and there. But in general, I'm not able to do what I've been accustomed to doing, which I always felt like if I wanted to run really well, I could run really well. I always felt that. Like, if I really set my mind to it and I was really concentrated on doing something, I could do it. But I can't do that anymore. So
Yeah.
it's like, I think that's a common thing. So you have to be able to, you have to recognize, you have to adjust for that. And like today, I would be happy here if I could build my cars, set up my cars, and just drive them and have fun with them without the competition side of it. Like, because I like the equipment, I like the cars, I like driving them. But then once you enter the how fast are you and all this stuff, it's kind of like, all right, I don't want to get too invested here.
And you're not putting so much time. I haven't even driven my truck yet. I'm like, I need to get out there, and it's a ton of fun. And you go through this metamorphosis, I think, through the beginning and the middle and the end, for all these guys that are out here. And you see a lot of fast guys come in and get out. But, and going back to Ty's one of the ones. He's always kind of been a staple, within the community. And another one would be, like, for instance, Lutz, in 8 scale. And he's been able to find rides and everything. People were mentioning WRC for Ty. And it all gets back to, can this guy bring in $500,000 worth of sales? and a lot of the time, and you sponsor a lot of people. It's there's a lot of JConcept drivers out there, and do they move the needle? Are they making that? And when looking at that, how do you guys perceive that? For having such a large team, or does this make sense for the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple things is, one of them is, is the racer active? Are they participating all the time? I think that's important. If somebody wants to be sponsored and they want to go through everything that has to be done to be a sponsored racer, and they only want to do it a couple times a year, it's really kind of a waste, because they don't need it. They're not that active, they're not that influential, because they're only doing it a couple times, and they should just buy what they want and race how they want to race at those couple times a year. If you're doing it where it's just nonstop and you're racing all the time, all year long, now you're probably in the running for all that, because you're using a lot of product. You're getting better. You're probably influential with your performance and your knowledge. So that's where you become to me, in the sponsorship territory, where because you're looking for somebody that can influence a certain way and show people that the product works, or it has performance, or that it's an improvement for other people. And people that have a lot of influence traditionally are either fast, or they have convinced people one way or another they know what they're talking about, or they just have a lot of friends. And those are pretty big influencers in the business. And so those are the people that I think that are key. And the guys that just want to race and do it when they want, a couple times a year, then they probably shouldn't do that. Just build whatever you like and run whatever you want, and then it's their choice. They don't have to be held to any kind of expectations, or any product. They don't have to be held to anything, and makes it a little easier. So yeah, it's a different game today, in this than it was in the 80s or 90s. But influencers are still influencers. It doesn't matter if it's Jay Halsey, Cliff Lett, or Spencer Rivkin, Ryan Mayfield, Dakota Fenn, these guys at the high level, they do influence something. They have an influence over the business or the industry or the direction or the trends of the product. And then there's people that can influence at another level, whether the product that is out and selling can continue to sell, continue to perform. Those are people that race at a little lower level. And there's another lower level after that, another lower level after that. But somebody that just that's only been racing a year, they don't really influence the direction of the industry, the business, the cars, or the platforms, but they might have a good influence over a good group of people or their local area, and that's good too.
Yeah, and it's talking about influence and trying to get more people, I guess at the end of the day, into RC as well. On our side of it, for the media side of it, that's what we've always tried to do. We try and help more eyeballs on what's going on to hopefully interest people to come out, as well as this is pretty cool. I had saw one podcast, I think it was Wheel and Trigger, with Mayfield and Brent Densford at Beach, and Mayfield had mentioned, because they're saying, well, how, basically to the effect of, how can we get this more mainstream of intrigue people? And I think it was the drama. I think you guys had it with the No Apologies shirt and the drama that him and Tessman had, at Vision 2 years ago. And Mayfield was talking about it. We're like, I really wish we would have got, Spencer after his 4-wheel drive, against Ungaro, of how, kind of emotional that was for him.
Yeah.
And almost like where Joe Rogan gets down there and what's his face just broke his leg. And how does this make you feel?
Yeah.
And how, but for us being on the media side of it, we've gone up to Mayfield and those guys, and they're so pissed at the time. They don't even want to talk to you. They're just dude, get out of my way. And to see somebody do that as a viewer, be like, oh man, he's pissed off. So how, all these drama shows, and shoot, I'll watch The Bachelor with my girlfriend or something, and you're looking at it, you're like, what's going on over there? Because you look at the drama of it. How do we capture that, do you think, for our industry?
Well, I think one thing that's different about this is a participation thing, not really a spectator thing. So I think one thing that is kind of, I'm not saying that we get wrong, but what people always try to sell you on this is they try to say, well, we need, can we get spectators and people to view it on TV? And I think it's different because in this, I don't think this is a spectator sport. I don't think that it's really necessarily a great event to watch.
Format maybe.
And I think what it's great to participate in. So
it's like golf.
So I don't think that you have to be able in this. I think what we need is to convince people it's something that's great to participate in, not watch. And so when people tell me, oh well, we're gonna have all these spectators and that's gonna be so great for racing, and I'm like, well, but it's all going to go to Traxxas. If anybody is a spectator to one of our 8-scale buggy races or these 10-scale off-road buggy races at the highest level, it looks fantastic. But the entry point to get into it is very expensive at the racing level. So if you do luck out and one of these spectators is thinking, all right, I'm going to get into RC, it's probably going to go to an RTR car, right? It's going to first go to Traxxas, or it's going to go to Arma, or it's going to go to one of these vehicles that has a lower entry point, because that's what everybody does. First thing that, for the most part, they just say, well, what can I get that's kind of like that? Because I don't really want to put $2,000 in it. I kind of want to get into it for $200, right? And then that's what they get. So then from there, their experience from there is kind of what kind of determines how far they go. I have a friend that bought a Slash. I met this kid when I was it was it kindergarten or first grade. He lives in my town. I've known him since kindergarten or first grade, and when the Slash was hot, for some reason he bought a Slash, right? He knows I've raced RC cars since whatever, the 80s, or had them, and for whatever reason, he bought a Slash. But I guess what I'm saying is, once they get that vehicle, they have to have such a great experience with it that they're willing to go to the next level, and then the next level after that. Because when they have that Slash or that RTR vehicle, sure, their level of commitment is, I'm going to go out, throw a battery in it, go drive it around, do some backflips, jump over my house, whatever. That's their level of commitment. Once it breaks, they throw it down, and are they going to fix it or not? I was at Mayfield's house last night. He has 4 Basher cars, and they're all broken. And he's like, yeah, all these are $6 away from running again. He goes, they run. He goes, but all 4 of them are broke, but they're just sitting there on the shelf. And he's like, so I think a lot of people get these cars and they play with them, and that's kind of their level of commitment, is that, hey, I've done it. Like my friend, he bought the thing, he played with it out front, he drove it in the grass, he drove it on the street, and he's like, yeah, I get it, it's kind of cool. But he didn't say, all right, I need to get an 8 scale. You know what I mean? Like, he was not like, all right, I'm ready for the big time, I'm going to get me an 8 scale because I want to put, when an 8 scale is ready to run, and you probably have $2,500 in an 8 scale nitro buggy by the time before it even hits the track. So he's not ready for that kind of a commitment. And I think that's most people's perspective on this, is I think it's cool. I think it's really neat. But my level of commitment here is more like $200, and I'll throw it in the back of my vehicle. And then when I'll play with it when I feel like it. And when it breaks and I don't feel like going to get it fixed, then it's over. I'm going to either throw it away. And then we have a really small people that move to the next level, and they're racers. They have a racing mentality. They have this kind of detail-minded, aspect to their personality. They like when things are their way. They like it to look a certain way. And then those are the people that we kind of attract on the next level, because to them, it's a small race car, and it's a small scaled down thing, and they like that side of it. And those are the people that get into this, I think, that actually continue. They can become lifers. The Scott Spear, the Richard Lakes, these guys, they love the cars, they love the equipment. Like me, you like looking at it, you like messing with it, you want it to look a certain way, build a certain way, and it's a much deeper level of commitment to get there. So I think it's slightly foolish to think that there's so many people that have that much commitment for it out there, because if you think about RC racing, it's all time. You have to have a ton of time that you want to work on the equipment, because that's really what it's about. Is you got to work on it, you got to set it up, you got to mount tires, you got to prepare, you got to practice, you got to go through the ups and downs, and that's a huge dedication to one thing. When there's other things you can do that don't require any dedication, right? Like you just go through the motions. So this is like a huge passion, dedication thing. And so I think that what we have to do in this is we have to target the people that are that kind of personality. Like somehow we have to be able to get to people that first you have to have money in this, in anything. You can't just go out and do all kinds of
That's a continuum.
You can't just buy, you can't just, hey, I like boats, you know what I mean? Or I like,
go get a boat.
or I like trophy trucks, or
break out another 1,000.
Yeah, everybody likes stuff, but you have to have the money to buy it. And this is no different. You have to have, if you're going to do this, you got to have thousands in it. That's how it works. And then once you get into it, you got a couple thousand in it, then you have to keep putting some money in it to continue to do it. That's what this is about, and it's a kind of about what everything is about. That's how a lot of stuff is. So we have to find the people that have the money. You have to have this detailed kind of personality that, and a little bit obsessive. You kind of are a little bit of obsessive personality that wants to be better, and you want to dedicate a huge amount of time to something. Because if you don't have any of those things, there's no way you're going to do this. Because it's all dedication, it's all passion, you have to have some money, it's all of those things. So if you don't have any of that to begin with, you're not going to be doing this. So it doesn't matter if we have 100,000 people in front of us doing this. If none of them have any of those things, none of them are going to get into it. So we really have to target the people that have these type of things. They are competitors. They are the Al Horn kind of guys that they love competing in something. Just give me something with wheels and I'm going to race it. You know what I mean? Like, those are the kind of people that are really good in this, because they're dedicated, and they love the competition. They love that idea that they can get better. And those are the kind of people we have to have, because it's all spent. It's a lot of time. Oh, wow. Got Gotti Jr. chiming in here. So, yeah, I think that's number one is, to get this, first of all, everyone's like, hey, we need to make this all more popular. It's like, well, we have races with thousands of entries. We have club racing. We have activity. We have 10 scale, 8 scale, short course. We have rock crawlers. We have drift cars. We have minis. We have mini Zs. We have
everything under the sun.
Anything you can think of.
Motorcycles now.
Motorcycles. We have everything you can think of. It's pretty popular.
Yeah, it is
it's pretty popular.
It's a $1 billion industry. I don't know. Well, probably through everything.
So it's pretty popular.
Yeah.
It's not that it's struggling.
Yeah.
So it's successful. It is successful.
I think
we have people that do it. Sure. Would you like to see more people doing it? Yes. But if you could but we have to find these people that are dedicated on so many levels. That's what makes it tough.
Hard, yeah.
And so, because and it's also an age thing, because people think this is a kid's sport. It's really an adult sport that's also enjoyed by kids, because the adults are the ones that have to write the check for it, or run, or double click your phone for your credit card, right?
Yeah.
That's and so you have to have the adults to sign off on it for a kid to get even in it in the first place. And I think the hard sell is when an adult isn't infatuated with this, is for their kid to say, I need a $2,500 8 scale, and they're thinking, why? Like, this is, you know what I mean? Like, isn't there something else that you want? And they're like, no, I like this. And then, but if the parent says, I want a $2,500 8 scale, they're gonna get it, because they have the $2,500 to spend. And then, if they get their kids into it, now they're rolling, right? The parents are in, the kid is in, we're all in. Pretty soon you're the Testmans.
Yeah.
We're
making this happen.
Dude, we're all in.
We're making this happen. And I think it just takes that spark. I know mine was, my dad had an old Yokomo 4-wheel drive. He used to race after work with his coworkers at Ranch Pit Shop.
Yeah.
And It was a belt drive, and I thought it was so cool. You could see all the internals of it when you took off the body, because I only knew of Tyco before that, Walmart.
It's all covered.
It's all covered, and I was like, I thought it was so cool. It's weird, but I thought it was so cool to have body clips. I don't know why, as a kid. And then I take off the body and see all the internals, and then I bought my brother's double XT, and then it's all, I'm here. Fast forward.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just takes that spark. And I think it's one of the things, if you just try and get that spark for people, like I talked to my girlfriend, obviously she's not super into the mechanic side of it. She goes, she didn't know this existed before me.
Yep.
She goes, what? You guys race? And then people's eyes glaze over when I tell them what I do. What I tell them I tell them I'm a drug dealer for nerds.
Yeah.
That's basically, and that gets a joke, and then it's like, oh, well, what do you actually do? And it's I think what we're looking for is that spark, and to make the coverage look good enough so that people might have a spark to go and try something.
I think where this kind of comes in is this coverage and other RC coverage is it kind of can. It to me, it gives it a little more credibility with the family, with everybody that's involved, because they can send family members places to watch the coverage. When we're here, we can watch what's going on in Cleveland, or and for all of us, it helps. It basically, to me, it makes the community very aware of what's happening in the sport and the business, and I think that it gives it a dimension that the racers appreciate. I think the racers appreciate the dimension that the coverage brings, because it makes them feel involved in something a little larger than it is. It feels a little larger than it is, especially when you're doing the Worlds. You're really a part of something that's a little bigger than maybe it really is, because it's covered in a way that makes it look that way. And I think that's where the coverage is important. So, one thing that had stood out to me when I was at Visions this year was, because when you're there, the driver's stand, when I'm standing on the driver's stand, you got the RC in front of me, and then behind you, there's the real rally cars, the electric rally cars, the UTVs, there's everything going on. So you turn around on the driver's stand, and you watch that, and then you turn on the other side of the driver's stand and you watch RC, and to me, I'm an RC guy, so when I'm on the driver's stand, I love the RC cars. Like, I'm watching it, and it's the best. And I look, and I turn around, and I'm watching the real rally cars and stuff, and I'm like, this kind of looks like it sucks. Like, the cars are slow, they have no traction. Like, if they performed like our RC cars, the drivers would all be dead, because they're so good. Like, the traction, the power, the acceleration. Like, they're trying to go up this hill behind us at Visions with the four-wheel drive rally cars, and it's like they're not going anywhere. It's like they're just spinning. So to me, I'm like, I turn around and I'm like, man, that looks like it sucks compared to RC. Like, I love RC. But then you go and see like the the TV screens they have, and I watch RC on the television, the way it's being broadcast, and I'm just like, I don't like it as much. Like, I like it in person, and I like it on the driver's stand. And then I watch the real car on TV, and the way and I'm like, it looks so much better. The real thing looks really good in person, and I think it's because of how much it feels of the screen. It looks like you can understand the limitations better of the car, where the tires are spinning, and it fills the frame of the camera in one turn. The size, to me, the size helps on the screen, and in person, from the zoomed out level, when I'm watching it,
this big.
yeah, I didn't like watching the real cars from the driver's stand. They look terrible, and the RC cars just look amazing. So, but it flip flops once you go to video. So part of you guys' job is difficult, because I think these are hard to make look impressive on video, because you have to have in this, I think it's, you have to have a little bit of understanding or a little respect for how hard it is to drive a car well in RC. I think a lot of people have either driven a real car, or they've see how fast they're going, or they can reference how fast a race car is going and say, hey, if somebody's going 200 and I'm going 20, there's a big difference. Whereas I think when people see RC cars, they think it's easy. And they don't realize how difficult it is and how a pro driver makes it look. And until they've tried it or done it, then they go, oh, whoa, wait a second. Like, this is really hard.
We've had that where you do look at it, or rookies or guys that are bashers, and they come and they go on a track and they're like, this was a little bit more difficult, like, than what I thought it was going to be, you know? And
it's
they kind of get a little bit humbled.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, you got a guy like a Mayfield who I've seen so many times. They have qualifiers, they're 5 minutes or 6 minutes, whatever, in nitro. The main starts. It's like, in order for him to win, he'll probably have to run about 45 minutes. Sometimes he'll run the whole time with no mistakes. Sometimes maybe there'll be a mistake or two, but that'll make it a lot closer. You know, like if he makes a couple mistakes, this is gonna, be a lot closer. Now, if he can stay and not make any mistakes for 45 minutes or 60 minutes, you're gonna be really in the running here. And it's like, how many times? That's very difficult to do, especially 8-scale tracks, bumpy, ruts, big jumps, traffic, 17 cars on the track, not to make mistakes. And that's what a pro driver does in this business. But if you don't have a feel for it, if you've never tried it, you don't really know. You just think it looks kind of easy. You're like, oh, I could do that. Like, I've had people tell me that. I could do that. Okay.
Yeah, it's what you're saying with that. We have I'm on BattleBots. I'm the driver of Lucky, and I'm considered a really good driver on there. I'm decent in RC as well, but a Mayfield or a Cavalieri or something, the hand-eye coordination with it, and you go to those guys and they might be better on the engineering side, but as far as their motor skills with it, it's horrible, and so you go there and you look like a badass, it's just one of those things where it's got tank steer. It doesn't have a bell crank, so it's a little bit different. You have reverse, so that's also different. But you go into it, but it's same, once you get the timing right and once you start getting the feel to play, and then it's it does make a difference with a good driver. But a lot of guys and online, they're like, oh, he's so good. I'm better than the average Joe, but it takes that where people don't know sometimes, where they're like, this is, you do have to practice at it.
Yeah, it's, it's really neat that you do that. I mean, I had a similar conversation with Jay Halsey at the Nitro Challenge, because he does a lot of television commercials over the years, movies he's known for. That's kind of, he got into that business through RC, being in the movies and television commercials. But he's telling me these stories about the vehicles he drives now, and the stuff the commercials that he shoots. And he was the '85 world champion, so it's been quite some time. He's the first one on the wall over here. Quite some time since he was the world champion, but he's still the go-to guy in that business, because and they don't even run like RC cars anymore. He's like, the thing that I'm using, the controller that I'm using, the way it works, and he goes, but to me, when he's telling me these stories about how it goes, what it is now what he has is a lot of great judgment with the scale cars interacting with either humans or real cars. One of the things he was telling me about was driving. I don't remember if it was the EV, the Hummer EV commercial or something he was doing, where they're driving straight at the camera, and his job was to go the opposite way and through the car underneath. And so he's driving a essentially what he's saying is like a $500,000, whatever the number. It's a huge number. That's the camera car, and he's driving that thing, and he's like, well, I want to talk to the guy that's driving, the EV Hummer, and they're like, why? Like, you don't need to talk to anybody. You just drive. He's like, no, because he's driving at me.
Don't react.
He's driving at me. I'm going that way, and he's driving at me. I need to kind of know which way are we going. If you get too far, do I bail to the right? Do you bail to the right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how does this all work? I need to be on the same page. But I guess the long story short is he's still using those good RC skills and the judgment he's learned over time to be in a pretty amazing field. And he still has to change things and work on things and to get what people want. He was showing me golf commercials where they're like, yeah, we want you to sweep in front of the player as he's swinging, so he's shooting a commercial, so it's like they show him what they want him to do. The pro golfer isn't even around. They're saying, hey, he's going to be here, he's going to be swinging, here's the club, the ball, we want the camera to go here, and he's just like, well, if he hits this ball, is it going to hit the camera car? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I need to know a little bit here.
Yeah.
Like, but he's got the experience, he's got the RC experience, the timing to know. I can kind of foresee the issues and the trouble going on with this whole thing, and I want to kind of work it out because that's how we're not going to destroy the equipment, and that's how we're going to get the shot that you want. And because they're obviously trying to be greedy. Get us as close as you can. Get us, we want that thing like we want that ball to just barely clear.
Yep.
And he's like, well, there's a risk, how close, is our insurance on all this stuff or whatever, and he's telling me all these stories, which are so amazing. And ultimately he said, like, they got to the point where there was just like a scratch on the top of the thing from the ball, and
how close?
And he was like, "That's it." You know what I mean? That's as far as we can go.
Bad,
and,
oh bad.
And so yeah, he's a lot of RC experience, a lot of driving, getting used to different radio or controllers, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure you go through that. And how the thing works, but ultimately he's learned a lot of cool things in RC that probably give him still an edge in the business because all that experience of racing and being with other cars, the heat of the moment, the competition, because it's obviously nerve-wracking still, right? You're nervous, if you got a real car driving at you and he said that in that particular shoot with the car driving at him, there's only a couple inches on each side.
Yeah.
And he's got to drive, he's got to keep that thing going, and the guy's coming over the top, and they want that shot, and they don't want the car to run over the thing, destroy it all. And I'm sure it's pretty nerve-wracking because you could be in the lead in the worlds and have somebody pressuring you, but you also don't have a car coming at you. You're going, and it's like, it's kind of some pretty serious stuff. So. That's what RC's gotten them.
It's nuts. Yeah, even in battle bots, they're like, oh, don't try and push up against them. You'll burn out the motors. Don't try and do this. And I'm like, this 250-pound robot's trying to kill me right now, and every hit is like $500. And it gets worse and worse, and it's nerve-wracking. You got 3 minutes, and you have to kill this thing and disable it. And it's out there. So definitely RC experience does help. We got Gotti Jr. here. I don't know if you want to.
What's that?
Answer that. I don't.
Yeah. Gotti. Jason, who's the GOAT of RC racing, and why do I think it's Joel Johnson? It's not Joel Johnson. I'm sorry. I mean, he's one of the best. There's no doubt about it. He's a world champion in two-wheel and on-road, but he's not the best. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's Florida's T6.1 to T6.4. See how you're doing against your local competition. That's the best way. Both the cars are good. They just have slight changes with the rear end and the front. But yeah, guys, so we're all done for the day here, Jason. It's we've been talking for a long time. I think it's been like 2 hours.
Yeah, everybody's like
leaving
like,
hey,
me out
we
there.
gotta go. We gotta go get dinner. We gotta get out of here. It looks like Jason's actually bringing up the. That's not the right one.
Number 8. Number 8.
So he's number 8. You know which exact one it is. Jason's gonna be grabbing some glamour shots of some of I think Kenwald's World's car.
Yep.
Ooh, so that's gonna be pretty cool. So you can catch that on JConcepts Facebook. He's gonna be doing some glamour shots. So we got we got a PTZ camera set up.
Yep.
I need to get some audio set up here. But dude, it's been an amazing talk. I don't think none of us thought that we were going to get this deep into it. But a lot of people was like, this is some of the realest stuff, and it's good. And what else to do? It's practice day. It's and hopefully keep people entertained and whatnot. And I'm gonna keep trying my new green screen here. I kind of like it.
It's working great.
I think it's kind of sweet.
It's working great.
I'm happy with it. But yeah, so what do we have to look forward to, going into tomorrow? What's the schedule like? And when can people tune in?
Yeah, 3 rounds of qualifying tomorrow. I think today they opened at 10. I think tomorrow they'll open a little earlier. And yeah, start tuning in around probably that time frame, around the 10-ish area. We'll get the 3 rounds of qualifying going. We got a pretty good turnout here this weekend, but it's not... obviously, this is the end of the year, so it's the end of the series, the end of the year. We've had the Worlds here, we've had the 4 other events, and we still got a good turnout. So it shows you the strength of this facility. People like coming here. We're gonna have some points battles. We're gonna have some great points battles coming down to the wire. We got 2-wheel drive mod, 4-wheel drive mod, and 13.5. 4-wheel drive. Those are all going to be the last race is going to determine who the champion is in those classes. We got a couple guys that can win, so TQ and win gets you a lot in those classes. It can take you from maybe 3rd to 1st in the series, and that gives you the championship. We got some awards here from Stick It One that they built that stuff for us, so it's looking great, and I'm pretty excited about seeing how this kind of pans out. I mean, we got several guys in it for the win, and everybody kind of wants to improve. You want to get inside. You really want a top 5, no matter who you are. You kind of like to get in the top 5 of the points if you've run 3 races in the season. You don't want to really finish outside that as one of the major drivers. So we'll see. I think we're going to have some good battles, and we'll see who can take it. Yeah, we stop back in. I can do some more chatting, and we can bring the points up if you want. We could go over it. We could talk about the points a little bit and kind of set the stage, if you will, for the finals, and kind of let everybody know who's in contention and what they got to do.
Yeah. Oh, it's. I think we'll be talking more throughout the weekend. We'll try and get more people in here. And David, he's coming down tonight. Orner, and he's covered some events here, and he's going to help announce, and we're going to try and do a little bit more of. And what you were talking about earlier, that big team that we had, for the Worlds, we're trying to do, obviously that budget is not in this realm of what we had when we had 9 people. So we're trying to do it with 4, and then the girlfriends. That makes 5 and 6, and that helps with even taking pictures to putting their faces up and everything like that. But I think an integral part is Jason coming on, doing the photography side of it. And, I didn't see the, much of the value at the time because I'm in this world all the time, but seeing the analytics and the draw and, and how much better it is with that, with that coverage and having somebody of his caliber to do it in his style and having an announcer on and having this dual kind of conversation and talking with the with the people out there. I think that's another big aspect. So I think what Worlds did for us is not only we got everybody said, okay, we'll get a massive amount of people, each of them the best in their field,
Yeah.
you know, per se, with years of experience,
Yep.
and then say, okay, which tidbits can we take from each one to make it better for a more normal stream, I should say.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do.
And you can see that that's made a difference. And you can see from your perspective, you can also see where it's like, man, we added this little thing, and man, that really kind of created another layer that we didn't have before. And yeah, I mean, it's people love photos. I do. I
do
love
too.
photos,
Yeah.
and I like looking at all the stuff. And I think everybody likes a photo of their equipment, and that's what we try to do when we do these races. When Hannah, she was one of the things that she did is she made a list before the race of all of our racers that were running, you know, JConcepts, and we tried to get a photo of at least one photo of every one of our drivers at the races. But she was so after, you know, a couple years, she was in tune with for the most part, our team, and you know, she had an Excel list of essentially the team drivers doing each race, and she could kind of make a checklist for herself. And it's like, man, I just need that one more guy, and I'll have a complete list,
Complete set.
And then on top of that, you know, like you said earlier, we photo everybody. So, you know, you'll see photos of everyone's cars, not just our drivers. So we try to get, obviously at that time when she was doing the list, we would try to get at least one of our drivers, and then as many other good photos, they went up. If it was a good photo, it went up. You know, like we talked about, sometimes you have to take 500 to get 50 or whatever the number is. So yeah, and sometimes everybody ends up in one, and that's what our goal is, I guess.
Most definitely. Well, you know, hopefully you guys tune in tomorrow to our coverage. What they say, they're kicking off at 10? Or is it 9?
It'll probably be around 9, yeah.
9 or 10, so kind of expect us around there, guys, for this. We're going to, we're going to shut down here. We got a couple cameras to set up. I got some other stuff to do. Go grab some dinner. Maybe I'll drive my car on the track when lights are out. You know, I gotta run sometime. It's the media session that we, know.
There's a special practice session.
Special practice session for media. I have not had any laps on this track. But it looks like Jason already killing it. You know, he's shooting that number 8 Worlds car from Kenwald, and you know, rest in peace to him. A huge influence on, you know, this community and JConcepts and you know, the dirt web, you know, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is the track that kind of like really embraces Kenwald the best with their banners and kind of the display cabinet. They were the closest his last home track. So yeah, they kind of feel, and they have the big Kenwald race where they donated a ton of money this year.
Yeah, we raised $6,000 actually with that waffle fund, man.
Unreal.
So it was great. We wrote a check to them and sent it along, and I think they just got it, so, and they're cashing it. So it's you know, amazing. We will have a waffle going on. I know Jason's figuring everything out on that side.
Yeah, we're coming up with something.
So we'll get that live to help the live feed, and
Ashley, we're trying to get that car back.
Oh yes, Ashley, and we'll comment on it. That's a whole another ordeal.
Yeah, we're shipping our stuff back. From Island, and the shipment is been sitting there for a month. It hasn't gotten shipped out, so the car's coming back. So as soon as we can get the car back, it's going right back to him. So.
Our word, guys, it's gonna make it happen. So, alrighty, gentlemen and lady, probably ladies. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Jason, for everything. And heck, we'll see you tomorrow, my man.
Yep.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, guys. So we're gonna tune on out. This is we're all done. Thanks, brother. And kept Jason probably longer than he wanted to be here, but I think it was some good conversations, and he's a wealth of knowledge. So yeah, we're looking good for the day. I want to do more stuff, but it was such good conversation. He's over there checking out that number 8 car there, and he's getting photos, and that's pretty sweet. So thank you, guys. Comment anything you wanna talk about right now. If not, I'm gonna shut this thing down the next 30 seconds. How old am I? 32. I'm old. I'm getting old. I've been in this hobby, since I was probably 12. No, probably 10. Jeez. So, quite a long time I've been in the hobby. Young, oh man. Many years of experience in the hobby there. Not some of these guys. Jason's been in it much longer than me. He was in it in the 90s, like 94. I was born in 91. So, it's been a good day. Great job. I have my Mod Live Media shirt on. Oh, my man. Give me a hello. Yes, sir. Gotti Jr. Check out, I believe it's the RIP podcast. So go and check that RIP podcast. With Gotti and Jason, they do it up. Yeah, guys, we got Mod Live Media shirts that you guys can get. So... they look a little different. They kind of look like this. Oh, I took my mod. These are super comfortable. I took that off for more of my like professional shirt. If you guys want to support the stream, we got these too. They're like $20 or something like that. They look like that. Super comfortable. I tell you what, the material's awesome on the shirt. It is. It's really nice. Our jackets, too, they're super comfortable. We'll be giving some of those away on the waffle. All the stuff I get, like even these are actually really comfortable. I wear stuff and I'll go through and I'm like, if it itches my skin or something, nope. I got to be able to work in it all the time. And I wear the shirts normally throughout the day. They say, my girlfriend says mod t-shirt. She's like, stop wearing the mod t-shirt. It's so comfortable. It's a good sleep shirt. Those are nice too. Alrighty, guys. Thank you, Peter Renaud. Appreciate it, sir. Tune in tomorrow, guys. We're looking forward to it. Hope you guys like the new green screen. This thing's dope. So for everybody that doesn't know, it's not a TV behind me or the track. It looks like, boom. It looks like that. It's pretty sweet. It's my first time ever using it, so I'm kind of excited. So it might not impress you guys, but it impresses me. I am impressed with the green screen. We got this cool JConcepts. I kind of like I like this background style with the zoomed photo. I think that's a good look. I really do like the Peter Renaud. The jacket is 12 out of 10. I know, my man. Looks professional. I know. I feel professional with the green screen. Yeah, this is green, so that's I didn't expect that. So, hey, it's like kind of cool. It's just a reflective underneath my hat. It's kind of cool. It's fine. It doesn't really take away from it. Yeah, so everything is good, guys. And yeah, the camera's like actually facing up and not like directly at me. Maybe I'll have it a little further down. I don't know. I think this is like the right angle. So hopefully this all works out. I had to jumbo around my setup here to get this right setup here, and we got two lights over here. You guys can see kind of the setup right there. Is that the other camera? Oh, that's my that's the replay cam. That's why it slowed down. So this is how it kind of looks in the background here. You got your main cam up here. I've got one light here, and then another one's over here. And I got those. I have some bigger ones, but these are like nice travel size. So I kind of want to try and do this more, and I'm not going to be able to bring this green screen, but I might be able to bring a sheet with me or something like that. So hopefully we'll be able to do more green screen activities. And then I got one table here. I got another one over here that has everything, and we're going to have a bunch of cameras around. We got our photographer over here. We have a side camera. Photographer's killing it, doing stuff over there. So yeah, we got a bunch of kind of everything going on. So it's pretty cool. It's a little different. We haven't seen it. So it's a little different for us. A new setup. We're always learning. So, alrighty, guys. So I think we're pretty much good for today. We really appreciate everybody. People have dropped off here, which is cool. I know Jason's gone. He made the stream. Alrighty. Well, thank you to JConcepts.net again. Thank you to Hobby Action for all of the support. Everybody's rolling out of here, and we have to go get something to eat, and maybe I'll get a late night practice in here or something like that. We'll see. I haven't driven at all, so it's gonna be good. Probably not so good for my hopes this weekend of winning. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a blessed night. And we are